It's 9 o'clock. I call the meeting to order. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, can we have a motion to approve the agenda, or does somebody want to change it?
Motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, nay. Okay, motion carries. Minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. It's carried. At this time, the public is welcome to address the county board on any matter of county concern. When invited to speak, please state your name, address, and topic you are addressing. Members of the public may speak respectfully for up to 2 minutes. The public comment period is limited to a total of 15 minutes. The county board members may ask or answer questions of the speaker, but issues shall not be debated during the public comment period. At the board's discretion, the board may agree to schedule matters addressed during the public period on the current board agenda or on a future board agenda. All discussions must be civil in nature and must be directed at the board, not at other members of the public. Any discussions regarding employee or department performance are not allowed and should be taken up with the Human Resources Department or appropriate department head. Does anyone wish to address the board?
Now's your chance, Brad.
Oh, I've been here and not said anything before.
If not, let's move on with our agenda. Have you got Linda?
I told her to come on down.
Okay. Consent agenda. Any questions on that?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is
I'll
there
second it.
Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. It's carried. Highway Department. Justin, have we got a time when we can hook up?
Yeah, I haven't gotten any other emails as far as confirmation on times. Brian sent out that one that said
Yeah.
3 of them, and I haven't heard if that works for
What?
everybody or what's
Okay.
going on. So
How did your meeting go last Thursday?
we couldn't get some of the people to have their schedules
Okay.
matched, so it's now this Thursday.
Okay.
No.
I
Or not-
talked
well,
to the
not
Joint
Thursday.
Power Board about, because a lot of them are going through building and stuff, and they really emphasize, and I did let the two of you know that what I heard too,
Mhm.
about making sure you have the architect on your committee because of all the standards that we have to meet state and federal wise, ADA, et cetera, so.
Yeah, I think it's very
That was
important.
just, they were just kind of emphasizing to me that, when I told them we were forming a committee. But
What
that
joint
answered,
powers was that?
that was workforce development,
Workforce,
and then I
okay.
also met with EMS, Emergency Medical Services, and there are 10 different counties. That Steele County just had a major renovation
Yeah, I
and
visited
building too.
Steele County Commissioner yesterday.
Okay. Yep, they were very, we always do a little talking. We do a little talking about the levies being set around the region and building projects going on. So anyway, I wanted to let you both know.
Okay.
So Brian said Friday afternoon works, or next Monday or next Wednesday.
This Friday afternoon?
Yeah, the 18th.
Okay, what works for you?
Well, later the better, 4:30, 4 o'clock, something like that.
Late afternoon? Yeah, that works for me. What do you think, of Friday or Monday?
Probably Friday.
This coming Friday?
Yeah.
I think I can do that. Should we shoot for 4:30?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't remember what Brian said, if he has HSR available or not.
Yeah, he said those dates work.
Okay.
Or, well, here's his email. He said, can we make any of these dates work? Friday the 18th in the afternoon, Monday the 21st in the afternoon, or Wednesday the 23rd
You
anytime?
guys are really pushing to a Friday evening meeting at 4:30.
What's that?
That's really pushing for a Friday evening meeting at 4:30.
Did we make that 3:30?
Well, what,
Hang on, what do you mean by pushing for?
No, I mean, Friday night meeting, I mean, it's,
oh. Yeah, he said, I think having the date that works best for, okay, yeah, so it sounds like that works best for both of them.
Okay. What about going a little earlier?
Well, my only thing is I gotta be coming from Rushford.
Mhm.
So then, the earlier we push it up, the earlier I gotta get out of work over there.
Mhm.
So 4 would work better. 3:30 I'd have to leave by.
Let's do 4.
Yeah, just plan for that.
Yep,
Okay.
4 o'clock. Fred? You okay with that?
I couldn't hear enough to know what date it is.
Okay, we're going to meet on Friday, the 18th,
Okay, gotcha.
4 o'clock, Highway Shop.
Oops. What are we thinking as far as,
As far as, so you're thinking Brian and HSR and Weezer's, and then are we thinking having anybody
Let's
local?
let's discuss that at the
Okay.
meeting.
Okay.
Okay, Linda?
I could probably get somebody from the present if you want.
yeah, we'll chat about it and see where everybody wants to go. Yeah, thanks.
Good morning.
good morning.
Good morning.
I actually have a short update this morning. First thing I should tell you, Bethany Moen is at a supervisors conference, so she is not here. Other than that, I was going to talk about a couple of the groundbreaking ceremonies that are going on within our area here. The first one is Able has a groundbreaking this Thursday. I'm guessing Judy might be there. It's at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the location is out by the high school.
When is it, Linda?
It's 3 o'clock, and it's September 17th, this Thursday. And the location is out by the high school. I don't have the street address, but it's to the south, I think, of the high school, isn't it in there?
Mhm, I
To
think
the
so.
south. Yeah, and then the other one you might be interested in attending is on September 25th, and it's in Winona. It's the Hiawatha Bluffs Complex, and they're finally going to get it going. What the Hiawatha Bluffs Complex is it's actually it's our adult mental health East Hub place where people who have had some difficulties in their lives, mental health difficulties in particular, they can go, and it's a transition place in a way. It can be short-term housing for them. But anyway, it's an apartment complex, and they're finally getting going on it. And you might want the address for that. The address is
It's
1433.
easier to tell 'em where it is.
What's that?
It's easier to tell them where it is.
Yeah, tell me how, because I don't know where. I was going to
It's-
put in MapQuest.
It's right behind Slumberland.
Oh,
So you
okay.
drive to Slumberland and just go behind it. That's where it is.
Okay.
What
Okay.
What time is it?
Slumberland's right on the highway.
It's going to be 10 o'clock in the morning, and I believe that's a Friday, the 25th. So Slumberland is right on, is that 61?
Uh-huh.
Okay. That
It's
helps.
behind
me a
that
lot.
in Westgate Bowl. I think.
Okay. Yeah, 1433 Service Drive, in case you,
You'd never find it by the address.
Yeah.
I didn't say.
yeah, and I'm sure there's no building there yet,
Nothing.
so there's nothing with the number on it, so probably like a, any kind of you won't be able to MapQuest it maybe either,
Nope.
I don't know. Yeah, okay. Anyway, those are both really exciting things, and I know both have been in the works for a long time, so they will provide better services for our area and make life a little better for quite a few people. The other thing I was going to tell you about is our child-friendly room update, and that's kind of a slow thing happening, but it's happening. The carpet and the paint are in. We have some new furniture that should be here any day, and the electronics and the video cameras, they're just like CSI. That is supposed to start going in on October 1st, and hopefully it's a one-day deal to get all of that in. We're excited about that. And after we get in there, what we've ordered, it's a small room. We were a little bit afraid to order a lot of furniture and then have it packed in there. So there really are only 3 pieces we're waiting for. We are then going to reassess and see, if we have room or if we have money to pay for like a little end table with storage in it or whatever. But anyway, and then we will look, and we also want to order some kids' artwork and maybe some new toys that are applicable to what we have and what the needs are for the room. So anyway, it's coming along nicely, and we're just waiting for the furniture, so we're just about there. The other thing we have a electronic data management system. We're seeing a little progress with our contract there with Winona County. That is more of an East Hub project, not just, it's us, Winona, Freeborn, Wabasha, Fillmore, and Goodhue County that have all joined together, and then that's our income maintenance, EDMS, and child support, EDMS, document imaging, and paperless system. We have a meeting set for all the counties on September 21st. That one's at 11 o'clock in the morning. And that is just directors. I believe it's Maureen Holte, and then, I can't think of the guy's name.
Mark Anderson.
Mark Anderson, yep. He is the IT head at Winona County. We're getting very close to having a contract in place. There's a few compromises in there, but not a whole lot. I think it's going to work out, and we're like this close, so that might be the day that we finish it up and have that done. And with that, we also, there are a couple of counties who haven't paid a dime yet to Winona County, so they owe I'm thinking they owe quite a bit because they didn't pay last year. We at least had ours paid through to June 30th of this year with the compromise deal at that point in time. So that'll be finished if we keep our fingers crossed. And other than that, I should tell you we also asked for an expedited appeal for our procurement process. Quite a while back, we asked the county board to accept our suggestion and create a resolution appointing, picking UCare and Medica as our 2 choice providers for people who, it's PMAP and people under 65, yes. Right? And anyway, so you did, and those were those were the insurance companies we chose. And in turn, we ended up getting Blue Plus and Medica. So it kind of just shot UCare out of the works beginning January 1st of 2016. And we do have a lot of clients who have UCare. It would require some big changes. Plus, we're really desperately trying to find out if Blue Plus is accepted at Mayo Health Systems in La Crosse, the hospital and the clinics over there. We know it is in Minnesota, but not in Wisconsin. While being a border county, we have quite a few people who go to the Mayo Health System in La Crosse. So we've asked for an expedited appeal. Our hearing date is September 25th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's in St. Paul. So before us, there are, I believe there's 4 dates altogether where many of the other counties are going. Quite a few of them are going tomorrow on the 16th. And
So who will go to that representing the county?
Pardon me?
Who will go to that representing our county?
Hopefully the 2 of us. We have to see how the old schedules work, but I think there's probably, it's better with 2. What one person doesn't think of, the other will. That's my hope, and that's why we team it up like that. But
Sounded like there were quite a few counties concerned about that, dropping the UCare,
Oh, yeah.
We have, I'm going to say the wrong number just because I'm on the spot here, but we have at least 1,300 people enrolled in UCare at this point in time. And this is when we start our annual health plan selection period as well,
Right.
because we have to have people into the new plans by January 1st. So we are on a delayed, they're holding off on sending notices out to our enrollees until shortly. I think they're going to go out in the next few weeks. So it might shorten up our time period, and I haven't seen a definite plan from the state as far as, I know they're sending all the notices out to the clients, but I'm not sure how much of work we're going to have to do to get them into the new plans. We did this 2 years ago when we lost Blue Plus, because we used to be UCare and Blue Plus for years. Went UCare Medica, so now we're going
Back again.
back to, so, and I just worry about the confusion for our clients. We're still working with MNsure. Notices still aren't correct. So for this to come up, for some people who are maybe a little confused about whether they have coverage or not, to have to go through that change again. So it'll, lots of phone calls.
Yeah, I'm not sure what a couple of years ago, what the breakdown was, you know, with Blue Plus and UCare. Maybe it was 50-50, I'm just guessing. But anyway, it seems like then when we lost Blue Plus, then the shift now has been about 75% UCare, 25% Medica. So then now when they want to shift again, it really makes a huge amount of people who would need to change plans. So it's going to be big. And I can't say 2 years ago we had the MNsure complications at the time too. So I mean, you stack up the MNsure complications, and then you stack up that 75% of our clients, our people are on, and not even, some aren't really clients, but some are, then 75% are on UCare, and it just really, it really dumps on staff too, which, you know, if things don't change, I can foresee we'll have to have staff come in extra. They'll just need to in order to keep up, because they do not give us a big timeline either to have all of this in place. So, not good, not good. I'll keep going. The other thing I do want to talk about a little bit, and I think it's more of a, I have a couple questions in to Jill Schmidt. Jill Schmidt is our regional contract manager in Olmsted County, but she and her staff create contracts for, I think the whole region. So there's like about 11 counties they create contracts with. Anyway, Olmsted County came to our regional directors meeting last Friday, and they talked about theft coverage, bonding and theft coverage, beginning in 2016. And they just want us as a region to be uniform, and then they have the assurance then that we are all following suit with what Olmsted has. The first thing they asked for was if we had a fidelity bonding or insurance coverage for employee dishonesty that covers theft of a client's funds, for example, like in a waiver type of a situation. And the minimum they were asking for at that point was $50,000. Now I believe they want to be assured that we have $15,000. So I don't think there's anything, a whole lot you have to do on your end, but I do need to check with Shar, and we'll go through this together, and we'll get it squared away and make sure it's right. And then I do need to respond back to Jill Schmidt by October 1st. So we'll just make sure that's in place. And I know we already have some coverage, I'm just not sure of the numbers, so that would be that. And that's about it for me.
I just have some updates. Every 2 years, we need to do plans for our Child Care Assistance Program and the MFIP Consolidated Fund. We get pots of money to fund the child care assistance. So for families that qualify for daycare assistance, we do have to have plans in place that we send to the state about how we're going to utilize funds to ensure that we're doing it correctly. They have put a piece in there now this year about provider fraud. We've never really been able to do anything with that, and there is, we've known that sometimes providers aren't the most honest with this as well, so there are some provisions that we're going to be able to put into our plan for this year. As I get that finished and it's approved, I'll make sure you guys have a copy just so you can kind of see. I believe for 2016, 2017, we get roughly $197,000 in child care assistance. And it's a wonderful program. Just the documentation that clients need to provide is great. And we're finding about 50% of our applications we can't approve them because we don't have the necessary documentation after requesting. So we are only spending about $60,000 of that, 60% of those funds. So we're not really, we do lose that, but we're trying to get more families in to apply and really working with them to try and get through the process because it is lengthy. It's one of the hardest programs as far as verification that we need to be able to get on, and it's one of the most needed programs out there. So we are trying to work with SEMCAC and different agencies to try and get our numbers up there so that we don't lose funding going forward. Used to be where we'd have a waiting list for child care assistance, and we've not had a waiting list in about 2 years now. So there's that plan, and then we've got our MFIP plan. For this next year, or the next 2 years, we've been allocated $169,146 for each year. We use those funds to support anybody that's on our MFIP or DWP programs. They need to work with employment services. So these are the funds that we use to help pay for our employment, the workforce development contract. We also, for our families that need emergency assistance, our money comes out of that. So again, we have to send that plan into the state for approval so they know that what we're doing is correct. We have for the last few years carved out a plan to have social workers working with teen parents and that type of thing. So we'll look at that again moving forward and see where we're at. And then the last is I had talked about we get federal tax information. So between child support and income maintenance, we have to have visitor logs. Everything has to be behind locked doors. The information, if we get it, needs to be under lock and key. So we had to send in to the state the different plans that we have. And I did just get back, and we do have to make some updates and corrections, but we would have to give names about, do we have video cameras? Who monitors the cameras? Are there alarms on the doors? That type of thing. How is the access? So just making some corrections on those. So that's where a lot of our time is spent. MNsure, workers are working on that now. Again, we're still trying to get the review process caught up from the state level. So I believe they're working June, July, and August reviews right now. And they have to have those all done by noon on Friday. So trying to get there. We're getting closer, so hopefully we'll get all caught up. They did find a glitch where some people, they're called mixed households. Some people are open in MNsure and some are open here at the county. Their cases were renewed in MNsure, but now they're getting closing notices on the Maxis side, and the state wasn't aware of that. So we're trying to work through that issue because people have already done the renewals, so they weren't sent a new one to do. So we're still waiting on direction on that. So those are the kind of things that we come up with. And that's where when we talk re-procurement, when clients have done what they need to and they keep getting closing notices, and now we're going to say, oh, this plan is closing and now you need to get a new plan, it makes for a lot of confusion. And then it's a lot of phone calls. So we're working on a plan. So lots of plans.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of what I have.
Yeah, that's it. All right.
Thanks.
Good, thank you. Okay, Carol, budget meetings, I think that is, yeah, that's later.
Maybe we'd
And
like
with
to
that,
go through the rest of the
I think so.
agenda before we start.
Anything more on highway department? Okay, let's just put that off. Commissioner reports. Commissioner Cholmy, do you want to start us off, please?
Yes, I will. I had a meeting yesterday in Orinoco, all-day meeting, a strategic meeting for the Southeast Minnesota Water Board. Our goal was to make plans for the next 3 to 5 years where we want to be and what we will do, probably continue to do what we have been doing, and how the One Watershed, One Plan will affect the Southeast Minnesota Water Board. We have similar goals, but
How's that looking, or how's it coming
Which one?
around? One watershed, one plan?
there's still quite a lot of questions to be answered, but
Okay.
there was a lot of talk. We spent an hour talking about that yesterday, because there's 3 of us that are also on the One Watershed Plan around the Southeast Minnesota Water Board.
Mhm.
Is there a cost to us?
Possibly. That's what everyone's thinking of. So.
Like,
They said it's going to take like 1.6 persons to implement the plan, and possibly all counties will have to share in that cost. And talking amongst our other counties, they like me think that we don't want to counties don't have the money to put in there. We all are working on tight budgets, and so maybe there'll be other possibilities to fund that stuff.
Was there any talk on this buffer?
Yeah, there was a lot of talk on that yesterday, and
Okay.
a lot of talk about that's a state thing, and then really
Yep.
not a lot we can do with that.
Okay.
Yep.
We have no choice?
You know, it's coming down from the state, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, that was an all-day meeting. It was very good. Went fast.
Mhm.
Well, that's all I had last week. Thanks.
Commissioner Walter?
I had EMS, Emergency Medical Services, meeting, and I did talk to them about, they provide, we're a member of them with the other 11 counties, but they do CPR training, or that they would be willing to come down to our county and do for us. Remember, Tess said, as part of the safety committee, that we have to have some training. And I talked to Tess about it, she's gonna get back to them, and they're much cheaper than the estimates she got. So they do it for like $50 a person, or if you have 10 people or more, it's $400. So that's a lot cheaper than the $1,200 original quote. They have fall conferences, a lot of training conferences. They did do a PowerPoint, which we had them send to us so that I could share with the rest of the board, and I just got it yesterday, so I haven't sent it on, but it kind of tells about, we have 44 ambulance services, we have 75 first responders, 97 fire departments, and they do all the training and certification for all these people. So it's really a big program. Then I did also have workforce development, and they are starting an apprentice program with the school businesses around the regions, and where people can apply to get into a manufacturer, and there's a whole list of all of them that have agreed to do apprenticeship programs, and one of them in Caledonia is Caledonia Care Center. Is going to do an apprentice where workforce development will pay for it, pay the employer to supplement their wages type idea, and for 3 months, and then after that they can more than likely get a job there. So, and there's also into welding, a lot of different. I have a whole book on here if you'd like to share it. So that's a real good thing. We a part of workforce development it's called a WIB board, and it's the employers that belong to this board, and they just got a new one, and it's Tri-County Electric, and Brian Cranbier is on the board for that, so they're very excited about it because they actually got an award for one of the best places to work. It's a real good employment, so that was a real plus too for our area. And then I did go to the Brownsville Township meeting and the La Crescent Township meetings, and tonight I'm going to try to go to the Hoka Township meetings, just seeing if they had any concerns for us as a county. We also need to find somebody to be on the planning commission from my district, so I threw that out if they have any suggestions and names.
Volunteers?
Volunteers, so. But those were my 4 meetings.
Okay. Commissioner Vinieski?
Just spent a lot of time on the phone with some individuals. I think Thursday, there's a handful of individuals from the community that wanted to sit down and talk about some possible options for over at the Highway Department building, just looking at ways to maybe bring up another option, save cost, but yet get what the county needs. So I told them I would meet with them on Thursday afternoon, and Steve and Brian are welcome to attend. I'll get you an email when you figure out a meeting place and a time and stuff. But
sounds good.
The other thing is this was kind of interesting. Robin, my wife, grew up in Sauk County, and this was sent to her obviously because of her being a former resident there. But I just thought, I don't know if this is something the county wants to look into doing. It said the Next Generation Sauk County Survey, and it said Sauk County is working on an initiative to attract and retain age 25 to 35 to live and work in the county. Her opinion will help Sauk County's future. and it was put on by the University of Wisconsin River Falls and their Survey Research Center. But just having some options, looking at, as far as Houston's kind of in the same position that Sauk County is, where you've got Madison and stuff close by, where a lot of individuals are moving to different areas, Milwaukee, where Houston, we've got Rochester, Minneapolis, looking at, if that's something that maybe Houston should be looking at doing, is doing a survey to try and figure out how do you retain that younger generation that seems to be moving out of the county and finding opportunities elsewhere. So I just wanted to bring that up, that sometime that might be something to look a little bit deeper into. And
This might be something I could bring up for workforce development, because they're doing the same thing.
yeah. And so,
Educating apprentices, anything,
absolutely. But anyways, this was kind of hit me that they're kind of in the same boat, that younger generation, 25 to 35, that's moving out. How do you retain them or attract them? What do you do? What are some of the, and finding out what are some of the reasons why they're leaving, if we can do something different or whatever. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up, that's something to look into. So
I don't know why they'd want to go to Milwaukee. It's under construction all the time.
all the time it seems, yeah. Yeah.
Commissioner Storley.
The only thing I had last week was leadership training on Wednesday, and again, it was an excellent program, and I just feel like I'm really benefiting from going to it.
Okay, where's that at?
Right here.
Right, okay. Right, and last Thursday evening, I was at Winnebago Township's meeting discussing annexation and some discussion on the proposed ordinance. And last night was SIMCAC. Kind of the norm there, approved some grant requests and so forth. That's all I have. Okay, would anyone like to approve the claims, human services, and license center disbursements?
I'll make a motion to approve the claims. I looked through them pretty thoroughly.
I'll second it.
Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. Carried. Okay, I believe we can move on to budgets, if everybody's ready. Human Services, first up.
Could I have you address the budget amendments that were
Oh, I'm sorry,
presented
yes,
first?
I just-
so we don't end
Yep.
up not
Thanks,
doing
not
that.
passing by. I understand Shires, the auditor's office. She included the excerpt from our minutes.
And the human services is actually, we approved the general fund and road and bridge fund changes to the 2015 salary because we hadn't budgeted for any COLAs. So this is human services version of that.
Okay.
These are just numbers. This is just the general fund, human services and DOT. I'd like them to address their.
I'll make a motion to approve the budgeted amendment for the auditor's office.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, nay. Carried. So, human services budget increase. Right?
So the net increase to their budget is $18,801. So, it's balanced by some money that came in for the new child protection worker, offset by that, and the other, yeah.
So it's not a true addition, it's a zero sum
but on paper it looks like an addition?
No, it's 18,801 additional.
Kind of going the wrong way there, Linda.
Well, I mean, that's how
tried.
many employees budgeting their COLA, so it could be worse, definitely.
Actually, when you think about the size of this budget, and I don't know, I'd have to do the math on what $18,000 is. I was relieved, kind of. I thought it could be worse, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget amendment for Human Services for salary adjustment.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Further discussion?
Most of this, is this mostly reimbursed by the state funds? I mean, we keep talking about services, billing for services, and does that cover most of our,
Not really.
Now, are you
Like the-
talking 2015 or 2016?
2015.
Okay.
But like any child protection, child services work is not reimbursed at all. That's county money, right?
Right, except we do get a child protection block grant that it just goes and it pays for services in general. It does not pay for child protection staff at all. The only way, especially child protection, can earn money is if they go out and do child welfare targeted case management. They call them HITS, but they make monthly visits to children who are in need of protection, or there's a question there that they're on the caseload. They might not even be in foster care, but they might be living in their home, or they might be having whatever it is going on. And they do, if I remember right, in 2014, the Child Protection Group did earn $107,000 worth of CWTCM hits. And
Is that reimbursement then?
yes,
That is
kind of in a way,
reimbursement.
it's reimbursement for the work they go out and do.
Okay.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you look at children's mental health, they basically pay for themselves because they go out and they get children's mental health targeted case management hits, and their goal is to do those monthly as well, sometimes more often than monthly if needed, but they only get paid for doing it once a month. Thus, that's why you're never going to pay for everything, but they do a very good job going out and getting and earning their hits. Plus, the real goal is to make sure the kids are taken care of, and that ensures that they do. There's an incentive there that helps pay for their salaries. But anyway, the main thing is they take care of the little kids. Well, we get our incentive too. So I don't know. Is that what you asked, Teresa? Yeah. Okay.
And there's the administrative people are split between income maintenance and social
Mhm.
services, and
Yep.
some gets reimbursements, some,
Well, yeah, so I can tell you a little how that works, and I don't have the exact percentages in front of me. However, for a lot of our administrative expenses, we do have to be careful. Some of them we cannot put against child support because of the way the federal laws are written. But some of those expenses, if you think about the admin staff would be like our 3 people working up in accounting, and they would be me. Our salaries they kind of go 3 different ways and are absorbed by the 3 different units, being child support, child protection, and social services. So I forget what the split is. It might be like 52, 48%, something like that. So if maybe 52% of it would get allocated then to the social services department, and we get no reimbursement on that. However, then the 48% is split 2 different ways. It's like 10 people or something are in income maintenance, and I'm talking numbers, I should add them up, but 10 people are in income maintenance and 4 of them are in child support. So, that's 14 people. So whatever that percentage would be then, remember it was 48% to begin with. Okay, then 4 out of 14% of 48%, it gets allocated to child support, and that gets 66% reimbursement. And then the 10 out of 14, whatever percent of 48% that is, gets 50% reimbursed. You got all that now? I mean, it's just, I need to see it on paper to be exact, but it's a little convoluted, but it's not that bad. You get used to it. So we do get, what it boils down to, really boils down to, is the admin people probably get 25% reimbursement, maybe 23, 24, 25, 26, right in there somewhere. And none of those percentages, well, child support gets 66, but income maintenance, it isn't always 50%. Sometimes it might be 49, sometimes 51, depending on the cost report and the actuaries, the way they look at it up at the state. So that's why we end up with our best guesstimate sometimes, and we don't end up with right on the dime, and then you can't predict like the visits. Well, you can try, and you have your best effort toward them, but you can't always predict, because people end up falling off the roll, or it ends up being the end of the month and you can't locate them, or whatever it is. So anyway, we try our best. Long answer, short question. Yeah.
Well, basically, so human services is all services, basically, and our employees are probably the most expensive part of the service.
Definitely.
And we get quite a bit of reimbursement, actually. So your budget basically went up 18,000 from,
No, that
That's
was
the
just the
15.
2015 budget amendments.
Yeah.
2016
We're
is what you're going to be
Yeah,
dealing
that's
with
right.
next.
and for next year, 2016?
Well,
Can we finish this one
Okay,
first?
finish this one
Let's
first.
finish this part.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
okay, sorry.
And Teresa, you did have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye,
Aye.
and opposed nay.
Nay, only reason, Linda, don't take offense to it, I
Four
did not,
ayes.
I was not for the raise in the first place, I'm just staying true, so don't.
Oh, I know, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We knew it was coming.
It's okay.
The down and dirty, though, is, it looks like a $4.5 million budget expenditure, and a $3 million, if we play our cards right, we'll get about $3 million back in reimbursement, the way it looks.
Yeah, and the net county dollars is about almost 1.5 million. I did do a little math, and I think I'm remembering sending you guys an email on August 20th explaining our net reimbursements, because I kind of misstated the last time we were here together. And so I did do the math and figured out what the reimbursements would be, and after the proposed payroll increase that, more than likely will happen. Well, there'll be two things here, though, that'll happen, won't there? The 2015, when that settles, when AFSCME settles, there will be a reduction in fund balance a little bit this year, I would imagine, to pay the difference
Well,
there.
that's what they just approved.
Yeah, so that'll affect that. But anyway, I did figure out the budget increase request of what we have and our best guesstimate for 2016, including the raises of all the employees. I took away, I took the budget increase, my total gross budget increase, which is $192,434. That's the difference between 2016 and 2015. Then I took away the net payroll increase, and what I mean by the net payroll increase is the big payroll increase that we estimated for 2016 is about $240,000. Of that, we get a little over $105,000 reimbursed through our reimbursement sources, which, is the 66% federal and child support, the 50% income maintenance reimbursement. So I figured those out, and that makes my net payroll increase $134,703. So if you have $192,000, which is the big increase from 2015's total budget to 2016's total budget, and then you take away the net payroll increase, really our increases in expenditures other than payroll end up being $57,730. And of course, it's all estimates, but that would be what we would estimate would be our change in expenses other than payroll.
57,000 increase.
Yeah, 57,730
And
after the payroll is taken away from our change.
That is not payroll. That is the increase.
Net payroll increase.
No,
Not
that's,
payroll.
that's anything except payroll.
Okay, okay.
The
So what's
pay-
your,
Yeah, go ahead.
what's your total right now, including payroll? What's it going up?
Okay,
from
the
last year,
total-
this
If you
year?
look on this sheet.
Yep. Yeah,
First column.
192, is that what it says over there? Okay. 192,434 is
Okay.
the change from 2015's budget to 2016's budget. That's the total. And of that, after reimbursements, the net payroll is 134,704 if you round up to the 80 cents.
That's, how much of that is coming from payroll increases, is there anything?
That's the net payroll increase after reimbursements is 134,704.
Okay.
But
Leaving-
does that actually include the block grant?
No, because the
reimbursements
block,
also?
no, it does
So
not.
It's not necessarily that 134,000 is
Right, but the
all
block,
payroll.
but the block grant is supposed to be used, if you use it correctly, the block grant is supposed to pay for services, such as, the block grant pays for like when we have kids in foster care and they're purely county dollars, some of that block grant hopefully could go toward that. Or like if we have a corrections kid who ends up in an expensive corrections placement, it's supposed to go for services. The block grant is supposed to go for services and not payroll.
And then the new
That-
dollars, state dollars to pay for the social worker, child protection.
That's included here. I believe it is. I did this so long ago.
Mhm.
Yep, here it is, right here. The child.
I thought I saw it on
Social
there,
work,
just
new
to-
child protection, yep, that's included in there. So that's like really a wonderful exception because that's
Mhm.
the first time I think I ever remember anybody paying for a child protection worker.
Yeah.
So we, yeah.
I think that article in the Tribune, Minneapolis Star Tribune.
Oh,
I
is it
think-
a new one?
No, remember those articles that came out?
Oh, yeah, all
I think
those.
that helped get money to the counties.
Oh, definitely, and yeah, and that's a whole nother
Mhm.
big deal coming along too, yeah. So,
So I think board just would definitely like to know if there's anything that can be changed.
To lower that
But-
57,000. I mean, we can't lower the wages
no.
with the COLA and everything.
So,
But the other 57,000, is there any
well,
adjustments?
yeah, that would be where I'd go line by line. If I were to cut anything, and I think I said it last time too, and it gets to the point where, you know, we just never know. We don't know how many kids we're gonna have in foster care or whatever. We have an increase from what we had last year, in 2014, and that's really played out this year. And I think a lot of it, we can attribute a lot of it to methamphetamine problems. But anyway, that would be where I'd cut. If I were to cut anything, it would probably end up being the foster care line, and we could kind of take a gamble. We might have fewer corrections kids next year.
But then you could use your fund balance to, instead of levying for it,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Yeah, we could. I wouldn't like to do it, of course, everybody
I know.
says that to you. But, you know, I understand your role too, and it's just, you do what you can do, so.
Are we getting all that we can get as far as reimbursements? that-
Yeah, I can tell you it's been, especially in the child protection this year, I'm not sure they'll make 107,000 again,
Mhm.
just because we've had a lot of FMLA in that department this year.
And FMLA is?
As in leaves of absence.
Okay.
You know, and there
That'll do, okay.
actually have been, well, right now we have 3 child protection workers, and all 3 have had to be out on family medical leave this year. It's just kind of the way it's gone. And because of that, then of course we've had, subs in. We've had 67-day employees. Those guys are new graduates. They're not quite as, they're good. The ones we have are really good, but they aren't quite up to the speed of a veteran, So I could say that might be down by the end of the year. And the other thing that I've noticed is down this year that's been very hard is our disability services workers. They are also a group, they break even and then they actually earn more money. However, with the big change with MinChoices, they are not earning the amount of money they used to earn. They're still very much in the black, and they help pay for some of our other services. However, they are not earning what they're earning. So their revenues are down, and I did project their revenues downward in the 2016 budget because we felt we had to. We do know that they need to, they weren't sure how things were going to pan out. A lot of other counties have already added staff for MinChoices, but we did not. We thought we'd look at it a little more conservatively and see how it has all panned out. And it really, they need to rearrange how they're doing some stuff. They need to work harder with public health. I think public health and them need to meet more often. But there was a lot of transition this summer without a social work supervisor for a while, and so it was kind of like we treaded water for a while because that's what we had to do. There wasn't the opportunity to really dig in hard into MinChoices. Hopefully now this fall that happens and we study it harder, and that's our plan. It's just a lot of things going on. So
Which line item is foster care?
is what?
Foster care, where you were
Foster
talking
care?
about we could cut.
Okay, if you look under 11-430, 710.
Say that again, what number?
11-430,
page
710. Oh, I see that. Yeah, I'm
We got
looking
page
at it.
numbers.
I don't think I have the same handout as you. You guys have the whole big, huge handout? Yeah.
And what's the number
11-430.
after 710?
Page 12 and 13 on this one.
Okay, well, here, I have it here
Object
too.
code, what do you got?
11-430, 710, and then there's a few object codes. I'm looking on the revenue. I need to look at expenses, don't I? 710. Okay, if you get into the, let's see here, right around 3640, and then 6021. No, not that one.
So it's page 13 in the middle.
Okay, there we go. If you look at 11-430, 710, 3800, 6021, there's we have $65,000 in there for treatment foster care. And at the time we did our budget, we projected we were going to spend $61,000 more or less through the whole year based on the kids we had in care. And I believe the budget last year, we budgeted 45 for 2015. We're going to spend 61. And considering, what we know about the kids and things like that, at the time, we put the $65,000 in there. And then right below that is the same number, except under 6021, there's a 6077. There's another $65,000 in there. And we, of course, had budgeted the 45 again. And we end up with a $65,000 projected bill for 2015 by the end of the year. Now I need to run and look. I have the monthly sheet here. I could look.
I have a question. Okay, so
Sure.
this year, we weren't doing as well because we had people out on leaves and we didn't have a supervisor for a while. And so those incomes should pick up next year?
Well, I would hope that they would, yeah. Yeah, the expense side, when you talk treatment foster care and then 4E treatment foster care, those are kind of beyond our control. A lot of that can come from corrections. And, whether or not they earn their revenues, we still would have those expenses because sometimes there's just kids out there that no matter what happens, you just can't save everybody. There's another line below that too, 3800 and 3810. If you look at 3810, there's foster care child, And we budgeted $20,000 last year, and this year we have a projection of almost $56,000 we're going to pay for our foster kids. And you know, you think about it. Last year was when we had, in 2014, we had the lowest amount of foster care that we've had since the year 2000 or something. I think I brought in a chart and handed that to you guys where we've never had it that low since as long as I've been here. So we budgeted low then for 2015. Well, then it came back and kind of got us here, because that's why we put the $57,000 in this year, because we have a projection we're going to end up spending $56,000 under plain old foster care. 4E foster care is a little lower. We do get reimbursed for part of 4E foster care, so then there is a revenue side to that too. But the regular foster care, the one that's under 3810-6021, we will not be reimbursed for that. So let me look here. If you look at, how many lines are there? We even have a relative custody line there. The relative custody line, that's 3820. That goes down a little farther. There's a $26,000 projection there. That's exactly what our budget was in 2015, so there's no increase there, and we actually project that will be about $26,000 we spend in 2015. And then if you look a little farther, there's two big ones, the 3830 and 3850s. Those are child group residential treatment, and that's for some really seriously kids in some trouble, and not necessarily trouble with the law. They just really need some help. We actually went down in our budget there from $80,000 in 2015. We reduced that to $60,000 because our projections for 2015 are going to be about $56,000. So we reduced that by 20. And then the sad thing is we increased our corrections number from 20,000 in 2015 to 60,000 in 20.
Why did you increase it that much?
Because
the correctional facility from 20,000 to 60,000 is a big increase.
Oh, it's huge, because we have right now going on in 2015, we project by the end of the year we will have spent $57,756. We budgeted 20. We're going to end up spending almost 58,000. And that's kind of one of those, that's through probation. We do have a little say, but we have very little. The ultimate word comes from the judge and from the probation people.
And this is children, correct?
Yeah, children. Of course, children are under 18, so it could be teenagers. But that's been big this year, and that seems to go on cycles. That one's too bad. So by the time I get down, there are about 1, 3, 6.
But we could
7
potentially lower both the foster care and the one that went up 37,000 and the 20,000, the 57,000, and lower it somewhat, and then use, if it does go over that, use the fund balance.
Yep. So which lines do you think?
3810, 621, 6021, and 6077.
Okay.
Those are your two big ones, plus, the correctional one, like you said, comes from the judge, so.
Yeah.
Do you see where I'm talking?
So would you like me to take the 57,730 and kind of distribute it between the two?
I'll tell you this, Linda, we got to get rolling here pretty quick. We got public health waiting, but
Yep.
just sitting here and listening to the conversation back and forth, I guess I kind of question why we're telling you where to cut. You're the department head. You cut where you feel it's needed. We have 9% levy. We're cutting. I just, to be honest with you, I kind of feel like we're wasting our time sitting here telling you how to do your job when you know how to do your job. Like, I don't need to know why. I just need to know we got to get down to this level. Where's it going to be? And
Yeah.
coming into these meetings, I guess I would like to see that. Departments coming in and saying, "Hey, we know you got to cut. Here's our solution. Here's how we're going to do it. Thank you very much," and walk out. I mean, I don't know that we need to hold your hand for 20 minutes. I guess it's more talking to the commissioners right now that bottom line is we got to cut somewhere. I don't care where you do it.
Yeah,
You
you
know
asked,
how to do it better than we do.
yeah, you asked me where to cut. I said I would cut in foster care.
There you go.
That was it, but then I need to know the amount you need cut.
And I think that's where the commissioners need to come back and figure out where do we want to be on the levy. You know, what's our goal? Right now, it's 9. If you're going to go to 0, we got to cut 9. If you want to go to 5, we got to cut 4.
We already talked about using the fund balance to pay the last additional pay period, which brings it down to 5.9%.
Right. Yep.
So that's the figure we have to be looking at reducing,
And
to
where we wanna-
5.9.
Where we
Well-
want to stay as far as the fund balance too.
Well, and that's the question.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing that I wanted to bring up that we can talk later. We'll take 2 minutes since we're on it right now. Fund balance, I think, was the state auditor wanted us at 5 months of our expenses, correct?
50% of our current year levy.
What was it?
50% of our current year levy.
Of current year levy. Okay.
Okay.
And on
Taxes.
the sheet that I had given you, I have the general fund broken out.
Well, and then the question is,
I mean,
you know,
we're covered on that.
right.
Mhm.
But the question is, okay, so we can get to 50% of our current year levy, which let's call that mark 0, okay? That's where our 0 floor is. Do we want to keep enough money in there for emergencies, something that's not foreseen? So you say, we're going to take that number plus 20%, and that's our safety net. Anything above that should be used to offset our taxes. That's what we need to figure out. You know, because I'd hate to go down to that 50% mark and be there,
Well,
and then all of a
we've
sudden
been-
something happens, and now we got to dive down, you know, I mean, so what's our safety cushion, and that's going to be our floor. So, okay, now that we're at our floor, now we can use whatever's left over to offset taxes.
And we have been below that. That really is your safety net.
The 50% is, so you can go to that mark
Mhm.
comfortably, is what you're saying.
Right, that's what we feel comfortable with having so that we can operate, and if there was an emergency,
We're covered.
we're covered.
So what we need to know is, okay, so if we take that mark, that 50%, did you have that on this sheet, or, I don't know? Or, no?
On the fund balance,
Yeah, whatever, yeah.
for general fund, I do, yes.
So what is that number that we need to have, that 50%? 50% of total tax levy is 3.3, or about
And
almost
like I
3.4
said,
million, right?
that's actually just for general fund. We'll have to
Human Services Fund
calculate
is
that
probably
for
where we
human
should be.
services.
Yeah.
So human services is also 50%?
Mhm. And each of the funds is at that level or above.
Right. So how much money do we have set aside to offset our taxes, keeping in mind the 50% of the current year levy?
See if I can find it.
Because once we know what that number is, we know what we can reduce that tax levy to, and then we know what the levy's going to go to. And once we know that, we could decide,
But there are also other, designations that you've committed, or, that you have, like for the capital expenditures, you've designated that the MCIT insurance refunds would be used for capital improvements. So it's not that everything above that is really open game, because you do have other items that need to be.
I guess what I'm getting at
guess.
is, how much money do we have if you take the general fund and anything that we've committed to already, what's that number left over? What's the money is in that general fund that's not accounted for something?
I requested, I sent the fund balance to Human Services and Road and Bridge, and I didn't hear back from them. So
That's
we'll
fine,
have
we can
to-
do that for next time.
Mhm.
Next time,
Do you
we need
want
that
mine?
number, because we gotta figure out as a board, how much are we willing to raise that levy, so that we know how much we gotta cut from these department heads. Right now, we're shooting in the dark, just saying, well, cut 2%, cut 0%, cut 45%, what, that's the question, is we gotta have our ducks in a row first.
Mhm.
And once we
Yeah,
know
and
what
I
it is,
didn't
then we
have
say you gotta cut
their
3%,
information
come on back.
to give you.
What's that, Karen?
I didn't have their information
Yeah, that's fine.
to give you. We'll combine it all on a form.
The spreadsheet I just gave you shows our cash basis and our accrual basis fund balance since the year 2005. And actually, in 2005, we had a $1.6 million fund balance. The expenses, actually, I believe back then might have even been more money than they are now. Because I know last year our county dollars we requested were actually lower than what they were in 2005. The difference between what our accrued ending balance was in 2005 versus what it was at the end of 2014 is actually only $47,000 less than what it was in 2005. So what we've done is we have tried to stabilize our fund balance to a point where we don't have huge swings. So anyway, the record is here. And then on the other side of it, you can see the county dollars we've budgeted. So I don't know if that helps answer your question. We work hard at trying to keep our budget intact and careful spending. So just tell me the dollar amount you want and we'll hunt. I can figure it out.
Well, I think that's where we need to get to be honest with you, before we go too much further, is what is that dollar amount?
All right, I can do that.
Yeah.
Just let me know.
Thanks, Linda.
All right, thank you.
Time.
I like snapshot ones.
We tried to condense and make it simple so that everybody could understand it, so you could see where we're up, where we're down. This gets kind of confusing, all of these line items here.
All the different
It
grants
really
and-
does, yeah. So this is, give one to the newspaper. We'll share mine. We'll share mine. You only have one extra, sorry.
Carol, can we do something like this for all of them? I mean, just a real basic rundown version
Of this.
of
Fund ba- yeah, that's what I requested from them, but didn't,
Okay. Oh, you did, okay. Thank you.
that bad. You mean of all the departments?
Yeah, because, you know, like you think like highway gets pretty big, human services gets big, you know, just
And they have the summary, you have
Yep.
the summary of theirs in the color of the departments. Public health is just all one big department, but has all the grants, the
yeah,
different programs.
yeah, that's nice, just summed up. Thank you.
Everybody just needs Loretta. So do you want us to say some things? Want us to make some remarks? What we are presenting here on this high-level kind of snapshot obviously mirrors the multiple line items in the multi-page document. And, you know, I guess we believe we brought a pretty conservative budget. The activity, you know, where you see some of the decreases here with regards to salaries, insurance, VEBA, the total benefit package is really, you know, we talked earlier about kind of the reduction in some of our home health aid activity and home care activity. So that's a reflection, a direct reflection of that. And remember that while that's a reduction in those hours, that's also a reduction in those revenues that follow. So, you know, it's, yeah, good news, bad news kind of thing. So we're looking at a difference there in total benefits of about $30,000 less than what we're projecting in 16. You can see kind of overall in the next category there of telephone postage, et cetera, we've cut back what we believe is as close as we can get to being accurate. We've cut back in some of our registrations. We also, again, cut back in mileage, a $3,000 difference there, and that, again, is a direct reflection of less activity in home care. So you can kind of follow that along. And again, the home health aid mileage, a reduction of $5,000, again, with that activity corresponding. The contracted services line item with a reduction of $11,000 there, that is basically due to, again, home health with our contracted services such as PT, OT, respiratory therapy, those kinds of things. Again, that follows right along with having less clients to serve.
And you see that continuing to go down? Or?
Well, we're kind of
It's
holding
been
in
doing
there.
that for a couple of years, so, okay. The
Kind
trend
of a
is that
trend,
way.
yeah. We're just seeing more people, opt for assisted living options, and, those oftentimes come with services. So we'll see. Again, it's one of those things that until people need it, they don't really go looking for it until they need that particular service. We've reduced our general supplies by $4,000. And then again, our waiver expenses, the reduction of $13,000 follows along with our home care reductions. Just a couple other points that I would like to make is in just looking overall at kind of what's happening in the state with regards to public health spending per person, I think is of interest and something to take note. In Minnesota, the per capita spending dollars for public health is about $16 per person. Locally, we're at about $12.79. So we're in the ballpark. We're not too much, but we're not too low. And typically, counties of smaller size end up per capita spending more, just because of the administrative services that have to go along with having this department. I think one of the things that we have done this last year and done a really good job of is, we've figured out how to spread out some of our administrative costs, and we've been really meticulous about making sure that if there are grant dollars there that support administration, we bill off that time appropriately and accurately. So, as you look at kind of where we are year to date on this multiple page budget, it looks like we're way under in what we're going to need for levy dollars. If you look at the bottom line there at 26,111 for that 2015 year TD. But again, with our grants, the way that they come in and the cycles, we'll probably end up right around, we're thinking about $120,000 to $130,000 is where we'll end up. So I believe that we'll fall way short of what we need of that $190,000 for 2015. And for 16, what we're proposing is $236,000, an increase of $46,000. And that really is attributed to our extra payroll and our cost of living.
The $46,000.
Yep. Definitely that's attributed to the extra payroll and the cost of living. Those two line items alone are about $74,000 for our department for that year. And we've managed to absorb much of that as we can. I guess, over 90% of our budget is personnel. And so, I don't know where else we would cut. We are anticipating, and one of the things that we did not put in our budget, and I would just offer up, is if we enter into this agreement with the Minnesota Immunizations Collaborative and do the fiscal portion of that, that will bring in about an additional $8,500 for us, and that would help offset some of the money that we would be asking for levy.
So if I'm reading this right, your difference is going to be from last year to this year would be 21,000 less, correct? Is that, am I reading that right?
I thought it was 46,000.
No, it's 46.
Our budget is 21,000 less.
That's correct. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, our
Right.
budget is $22,000
So
less.
roughly 12% less.
Yes.
Nice.
So what is the 46,000 then?
But they're still
increase in levy.
needing more levy money.
Yeah. they're
We're
needing more
anticipating
money.
needing more levy money.
Right.
Not so nice.
And we certainly hope that we don't, I can't imagine that it would have to be that high, but you never know, and we don't want to, we want to be
So
conservative,
you're
but yet
asking for an
reasonable.
additional 46,000
Correct.
in the levy?
Correct.
So where's that number on here? Where am I seeing this?
That's on the multiple page.
Well, I'm saying, so don't go on this.
No, because you're looking at the grand total. It's
Okay, so
on,
now you really got me
Right
confused.
here, the
Grand total
page.
is 21,000 less, but you're asking for
For the budget.
46,000 more. Where's
Comparing
that
the
at?
2 years' budgets.
Okay, yep.
But our levy has increased, our levy request has increased because of less revenue, because of declining clients.
Clients.
Which is
Yep.
on this page 37 here.
And
Right.
that additional payroll. So basically, it's because
it's
of
the
the
payroll.
additional
So
payroll.
then technically your grand total is not 21,000.
Comparing 2015 to 2016, it is.
So now you got me confused because if your budget's going down.
our
Right.
budget's
Right.
going down, but our levy ask is going up
Yep.
Okay.
Because their revenues also went down.
because our
Yeah.
home care revenues went down. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay.
If my
So these are
checkbook says,
only
if my checkbook says I have 21,000 in my account and I go to bank and say, I need $46,000 more is what you're saying. So your
Just
budget.
look at it this way.
Yeah.
There's an extra payroll, so we need more levy
I understand
money.
that. All I'm saying is why is that not reflected here is all I'm asking.
I just compared the two line items. all
Just the
way down.
budgets.
Okay, but
Just
not
the budget.
necessarily the income to expense.
No.
Okay.
This is all expense, is
Expense.
what I gave you.
Ah, gotcha.
This-
Now I
this
understand why-
picture
what
shows
this is.
the increases 40 on page 37.
Yep, gotcha, okay.
So is there any way to reduce that 46,000?
Well,
You
again,
probably
if we get that 8,500,
Yeah,
you
that'll
know,
help.
yeah, that would help. I mean, I don't know, you can see we're pretty skinnied up other than cutting personnel.
And really, your increase is less than the cost of what the increase in your
Exactly.
salary is.
We've
so-
absorbed that, yeah,
Right.
about $47,000.
Right.
Of that 74 needed for the extra payroll and cost of living.
Yeah, that's pretty huge.
Yep.
And your budget is 90% is
Staffing,
staffing,
Staffing.
so,
Mhm.
There's not a lot of wiggle room.
service industry.
right, doesn't give you a lot of movement, but you guys did, I mean, have done really well with this.
Do you have a question? Did you have a question?
Oh, before.
Oh,
I just wanted to be back to
Okay.
expense.
Any more questions?
Do you feel comfortable enough that we're going to get that we could take 8,000 off of it?
Yep.
Okay, so we'd be looking at 36.
Yeah. I was waiting to really see if we were going to be able to do it as a community
Oh,
health
wait.
board and submit it, and it appears that we are. We are, you know, Phil
So
Norris with us
8,000
on
off, I
that.
said the wrong number.
Yeah.
38,000.
Yeah, you can take 8,500 off.
Okay, thank you.
You'll have to
Yeah.
pick a line
Yeah,
item.
yeah,
your
yeah. Well, we
line
didn't,
items.
we didn't include it in here because it just kind of came out of the blue, and it was something new and different we hadn't
It
anticipated.
didn't
and
just come
weren't
out of the
sure.
blue because you really worked for it.
Well, we will be working
But
for
it
it.
hasn't been finalized, so I
Yeah,
haven't given
right.
Carol any numbers yet.
Right,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's not, you guys worked to get that too, so that, I mean, that's something that should be noted.
And a step forward, I'm willing to do that additional work.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, any
Thank you.
questions?
I just have to keep it running total from here.
Morning.
So here's the information we got regarding the, what we talked about on Friday,
Okay.
the increase in the disposal fee costs and the difference, changing it to the employees as opposed to the contract services, leaving the 50,000 in. So that was the
Too many
increase
different little budgets.
discussed on Friday.
There's so much of variance of
Money and money.
expenses because it's all a human population thing, you know, how many, and we have a new judge now too, so how's that going to affect it? I mean, we don't know that. We don't know how many kids will be placed in foster care and corrections and if
Could be a
it's,
lot more.
if our judge, it could go either way.
Yeah, either way.
Or it could stay the same, you know, you just
Take it
don't
away,
know.
Rick.
Okay.
I know what the board is actually looking for is, for decreases in budgets. I think, when I went through and actually looking at some of this here, I guess my recommendation would be to the board, I know we do feel like the household fees of maybe increasing, I was looking at increasing that by 25 cents per household per month. But given the nature of the absorbing in the 3 positions for the drop sites and then some of the personnel changes that I'm going to have to do with Woodland and that sort of stuff, I think it would be wise that we, instead of the 50 or a quarter a month, we go to 50 cents. For every quarter that we do generate, or that increase would be, and that quarter I did increase was originally done for the cost of disposal on the large household items plus getting the mattress in line to start out that program. I guess what I'm saying, and that was going to be in what I was thinking with the revenue I had from left over from 15 and the costs we incurred going through the first half of this year, that I thought a quarter would do, but we can do that quarter again. For every quarter that we do add for the household fee generates about 25,000. That's what I'm saying. If we did the quarter increase from $3 to $3.50 per household, but that's something I need to probably, if the board's agreeable with that, I should get that all to the townships and cities so that the first of the year, if that increase is going to, it looks like that's the route we're going to go, that I can notify those cities and the townships.
And it's at $3?
It's at $3 per household per month,
Okay.
and it would go to whatever we agree on here.
How does that compare to like what the cities charge for
This
monthly
is
fees?
countywide.
This is countywide.
I realize that, but, the city people pay on their light bill for
Well,
this
we would just
disposal
add the
fee.
50 cents. Instead of the $3 that they remit to the county, it'd be just the
Right.
$3.50.
So in the city of Caledonia, how much is on my bill? Is it $6? I mean, it used to be
How
when I
often
lived
do you
there.
get
Well,
your
you're
bill?
paying, you're paying for your pickup of your garbage on that bill, you're paying for your recycling pickup, and then also the county.
I'm just, to get a comparison, how much does a person charge in the city as opposed to this $3.50 that they're going to be charged in the town?
The same thing.
It's $3
The city
now.
residents all get this $3.50 also?
Yes. Every household in the
single
county,
household.
apartment buildings, trailer houses, they're all counted, and they all pay the $3.50 per household per month.
They pay $3 now.
Or they pay, now,
$3
now.
And we'd be looking at $3.50.
Does that come out, that doesn't come out of levy though, that's,
No, that does not.
okay,
In the
that's billed.
townships, it does. The
Okay.
townships levy for
Yeah.
it.
But what it's going to do then, the added revenue would offset some of the expenses that we've seen.
On
Having
solid
to
waste,
absorb.
we've seen a lot of increase in,
Well, you're getting increases on both the disposal end of it.
on the recycling.
I have not, I know from talking to my different vendors, they're not seeing an increase. The only really increase I got so far that is coming down would be with the disposal at the landfill increases are going. I know it was a little early, we started talking June to some of these businesses, they're kind of hesitating a little bit, and they're not really saying if they're going to increase yet or not that early ahead of it. I didn't see nothing coming in, like as tires or appliances, that sort of stuff coming through, that they were telling me about.
Mattresses. Yeah.
Mattresses is something, yeah, La Crosse is going to ban, so we're going to have to, I've got a market in La Crosse that will take them. It's just a matter of putting the mechanisms in place to handle them.
And if we would charge so much per mattress, we have to also look at how that's going to affect where mattresses end up getting left.
Yeah.
They're easy to dispose of and hard to turn around and find out who illegally dumped them. That's why we went this route of the household fee. It took care of appliances, tires, and that sort of stuff. And I will say it's really our disposal or illegal dumping is down to just a handful in a year compared to, I think, a lot of other counties that face. The other thing I was thinking about too is another fee increase that we could possibly look at, and I know we're probably a little bit on the light side, is like our septic inspections. I'd like to see them fees probably go up to reflect our costs associated with having to go out multiple times to these. I guess it's feeling that, it's hard if you were to cover everything, but, actually running those probably anywhere around $100 more per fee or per permit, so that we can cover some of that additional cost. Otherwise, most of my increases are having to do with, a lot of it having to do with wage. It's a matter of, like I said, our biggest increase had to do with taking in the 3 positions into the county that got.
So if you
But also
increased
needing
it,
to keep the
right now
level.
your levy increased to 46,700, right? That's the increase of levy money, right?
Which line are you looking at?
Page 40, which is, it says total planning and zoning. Or maybe I'm not looking at everything here.
No, there's different totals.
Oh,
We're actually looking at solid waste
And
and recycling.
okay. So that one is an increase of 80,000.
Well, between the two budgets, there was an increase of 66. But a lot of that had to do with having to shuffle the personnel
Right.
into the county.
So you're between the two departments, it went up about 66,000, you said? And if you increased your fee 50 cents
From-
per household,
Yeah, I had the original budget was at 25.
okay.
Not lower at 20.
I guess before I talk about increasing the fee per household, I want to know how much it's increasing. I don't want to go to the cities and townships and say, we're going to increase it 50 cents, but our cost is really 25, because I don't want to see it come out of, to cover another part of the budget, because then we're just sliding money around. I want it to be, if it's going to cost us this much more for solid waste and recycling.
Yeah, the increase there is $56,481.
Okay. And if we increase 25 cents per person, it's
Per household.
per household.
It roughly generates about 25,000 a year. for every quarter.
So we would have to increase it 50 cents just to come to what it
But you gotta look
costs.
at, within that increase, we're also, it's gonna roughly take us about 25,000, a little more than that, probably 26, to buy the rails, the van bodies is my best guesstimate, in order for us to start accepting mattresses or getting them out of the waste stream too. So, I mean,
And we really don't want to see them end up in the ditches or sitting alongside businesses and stuff like that, which, you know, is a real problem.
and I figured as long as they're coming in like that, the easiest way for us is right off the truck and into the van body, so we're not double handling them or triple handling them in different containers or stopping and then having to reload, and we can all do it just as they come in and take care of them, and then containers full, I can run them across.
And that's actually the $32,100 that you budgeted was to buy those.
Yeah.
Now, I know in Knightson, I think our monthly charge is $6.75 for recycling waste pickup.
But see, you're like Caledonia, part of your recycling fees and everything, pickup and all that are on that
That's
fee.
Richard Sanitation.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think we're covering our costs.
yeah, that I don't
Yeah.
know what his fee is for you guys, but
It's $561 right now, and it is going up. $561 a month.
I mean, all the way around, I mean, I look at our electronic waste, when we started collecting this thing, we started off, we were paying to get rid of the material to the point where we were getting paid, and we were making a good revenue source, to the point where it got mandated to recycle, we had to take them out, and then we're supposed to be working with the state and the credits, and we were supposed to be getting reimbursed back, but it is actually costing us a mandate that we weren't supposed to be paying. It's things like that. I think right now, to recycle electronic waste that wasn't supposed to, we've got to probably, with transportation and my guesstimate with personnel, labor, and everything else, about $24,000. So I mean, and every county is pretty much having to absorb all that. I know right now our association has got discussions going on with the state that program has to be revamped to the point where what we're saying is the sellers and the makers of this material is going to have to step up, because that's where it was supposed to go. Not to the counties or the collectors of the material, but it ended up that way. I don't know, is there anything else we need to add on solid waste recycling?
What's the percentage of, when you take $3 and add 50 cents onto it, how much of a percentage increase is that?
20% almost?
Probably.
17%.
It's 15%. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
14%.
16.
Okay.
When was the last time you raised that? If you did? Been a while?
Correct me if
2
I'm
years, I
right.
think.
It was 2012
Like 2-3 years ago, maybe?
or 13.
Probably
So it really
12.
wasn't-
I bet it's 12. I don't think it's been longer than that. Something like that. But we've been able to, within that, and I think it raised from that dollar, let's see,
We increased it in 13.
Yeah, because I think we went down like to address them in 2012.
Because I was in one of those meetings.
Okay.
Mhm.
Chair, when do we discuss that increase? If that's something as a board we want to go forward with?
How do we do that? On the agenda?
I guess it's up to you. You can
Mhm.
do it whenever you want to. We're in open session. You can do it now if you want to.
Yeah. what's
You
the
had
board feel?
figured in raising it 25 cents, and now you're thinking maybe we should go 50, basically.
Well, if you're looking, like I said, I mean, when we originally put these in, I was back in June, I was not sure
Yeah.
on the labor costs, having to absorb all that. The other side of it, I had an idea about what it was going to cost, and I thought, you know, originally what we can do is kind of absorb all a lot of the, as far as buying the van bodies and the rails and stuff like that, but now going through and with the labor, the additional trips and with the trips over to La Crosse and everything else, yeah, we probably, that should have been.
Sounds like one of those things we need to do. That's one way or another, I guess. We want to keep solid waste in business, or stay in the business, and recycling. Either levy for it, or
And if you
Charge
look at
fees.
how much are they going to charge us for one mattress?
15.
And if we increase the rate to $6 a family more, that gives you about, right, in a year, it'd be an increase of $6.
yeah,
Because it's a
No.
month.
50 cents, yeah. That's not going to cover mattress.
Would that be a separate fee?
That was,
Yeah, we'll have to special line item in here, yes.
that'll
Better
be
be
another budget item.
But that's within that 50-cent increase.
Oh, you think so?
Yes.
Within the 50-cent increase, okay.
So then the consumer wouldn't have to pay $15 when they drop off a mattress at our drop sites?
Right.
It would just be included in on their monthly fee.
Correct.
That's the only way, like I said, if we don't, and it's like furniture and everything like that. I mean, we assumed it going into there that it's all prepaid.
Yep.
We'd get it.
So then we don't have the disposal fees for the mattress actually in here, so,
Well, it's within
or
the,
it does,
I've
it
got
is
it in there.
included in.
yeah, but I just assumed
That
go
was
line
one of the
item.
increases?
Yeah. Yeah, I got it in with the household stuff here, is where I put it.
So on the sheet with the increase is the large household, the increase is actually like the mattresses.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, the mattresses are going to cost, or do you have a total for the year budget?
You know, haulers sometimes used to pick them up and put them in their trucks, right, and then dump them at the landfill. And now there'll be a fine on that, right?
Yeah, we can't,
Right, so there'll be a fine if they're found dumping a mattress, so there's not gonna be any haulers who are gonna pick up mattresses anymore.
I mean, they're getting to the point, like even Excel, there's haulers know what gets rejected. Yeah, they will not pick it up. That's where we inherited it,
Mm-hmm.
through the drop sites. Once in a while, I do get, we inherit an additional charge on something that wasn't at the drop site that got put in that, yeah, that should have been put in there, and the hauler will dump. Yeah, we get charged an extra fee for that. The hauler gets charged, we get charged back, is what happens.
Do we have an estimate how many mattresses we take in right now?
Well, I started off, and I don't have that just with me yet, Justin, but I have started off from July 1st. I made a sheet out at every drop site, and every time they're open, I wanted to know how many mattresses came in per day, per time we're open. That list is being compiled. I can get that for you, but I don't have it handy with me.
I was just curious. as to
About-
what-
Yeah, it was too.
Each site is different, and each day is different. I know I had one time, and this is Spring Grove, 19 mattresses sitting there. Then you can go 3, 4, couple weeks and nothing.
And what did you use for a budget item now?
That's under the large household.
Large household, but you increased for mattresses? How
Yeah.
much did you increase?
Well, I was thinking about 20, it's maybe about 20.
For the
With-
year?
With the amount of material I've got coming in and where I'm at, with the large household and what I added, the mattresses too, that's about what I thought, that line item is going to be. But what I can do and work with Carol is just specifically take a line item out just for mattress, to keep track of it, or I can keep track of it later in office too.
What do we want to do on the fee increase?
I think we should decide on it by next week.
Think about it for a week?
Yeah, it's hard because actually the townships are levying for garbage disposal too. It's almost like how much taxes do,
Well, it's a shared program, though.
Yeah.
It's set up as a shared program.
Yeah, that's
in the
true.
township. It's like,
Yeah.
we're gonna pay for
Or
it.
do we-
One way or another, yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Either the city's going to have to levy for it, or they're going to collect it from every
Correct.
household.
So what are we looking
Utility
for
bill.
right now? Environmental services, how much more is it going up
66.
total? 66?
The net between them is
56,480.
Yeah.
56,480. Okay.
And the additional fee would probably bring it
25 in.
50,000.
50,000.
So another 25 under that.
No, if we went to 50 cents.
Yeah, if you went
it
to
would
50
bring
cents,
in
right now it's only at a quarter
50,000.
Right.
that I've got figured. So if you add another 25,
It would.
so then you're down to about 25,000.
So you've already figured,
He's already got a quarter in there.
you already have a quarter in
Yes.
there?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't catch that part,
So we're
sorry.
talking about another quarter.
Yeah.
What if you raise the septic fees, how much would that make
But is that under this part of the budget?
That is in the solid waste portion.
Okay, so septic is on.
No, septic is in
In zoning.
zoning.
Okay, so we'd have to look at it in that part of your budget then.
Right, that's on page 38.
As far as the grants that have come through, like you're looking at the shoreline grants, waste, or the wetland grants, feedlot, they're pretty well set.
Statutory?
Yeah, I don't know about statutory, but that's the fee that they have pretty well set the last probably 5 years. The feedlot base grant can fluctuate some based on job performance, and then also for as far as what they allow for us to work with feedlot, like on a base grant. But it's been pretty standard. I know Bob always kept track of that.
And Bob also indicated there weren't any of those additional grants anymore, the feedlot 5, feedlot 6, they're all done.
They're done. I think I talked to Bob, I had a farmer come in and for feedlot, and I think according to what he came over and we ran through, I only had about $1,600 left until the next round or cycle comes through again.
Well, Bob said there wasn't any more coming in under those.
Right. Oh, you
There
mean
wasn't a feedlot 7.
grant?
Mhm.
I don't know, the way it sounded from him that there was maybe another cycle coming through. He didn't know.
No, and he told me no. So we'll have to
Okay.
check on that. But that's pretty much in and out money, so.
Right, the money we get in, the farmer ends up for every dollar, they have to match it with $1 to upgrade feedlots, so. And I guess what I was looking at was the only thing I could, going through the budgets as far as raising septic system fees. I know checking with, just kind of around for the other counties, we're probably on the light end of it. We
How much
could
is the
actually.
septic system fee?
Well, right now our mounds are sitting at 200, and I think most counties are sitting mostly 3 to 4. And I guess I was going your at-grades and mounds, because we've got the expense of sometimes 2 and 3 trips that's sitting there. I'd like to see that go up to $100, up to $300 for a mound, and go up another $100 for the trenches.
How much is a trench?
$100.
It is 100 now, so
Yeah.
that would go to 200.
Yep.
And a mound would go to 300.
It isn't a lot of money going to be generated. We usually, total systems going in are about 75 to 100
A year?
a year. And that fluctuates between a trench and the vet, but
Yeah.
I will say probably 90% of those are all at-grades and mounds going in, where we have to go back multiple times.
And the ones that are, the bulk of them going in, are they fails? System fails or new systems?
New and, well, it could be new, failed, or,
Upgrade, I suppose.
yeah, if you add a bedroom onto a house, we automatically, you have to upgrade the septic system.
Really?
Okay.
So that's something that would also have to be approved
Yep.
along with the.
The board wish to do, put it off a
So-
week, or do you want to make a move?
I would say let's put this stuff on the agenda for next week. And next week, we better come back with some numbers of where the board needs to be so that we can let these department heads know where they need to be at. Otherwise, we're just kind of shooting in the dark. Then Rick will know if that got passed.
They all know
How
that
much
we
is it?
need to cut.
9% is what we're going at then?
They all got this information just like you did.
So then why have we not been cutting? I mean, people keep coming in for more and more money. If they need to cut, why are we not cutting? I guess that's the question I'm kind of confused at. You know, the whole goal of today is we need to start cutting in every single department. 6.5% increase, 22 to 28%, now another 12%. We're going the wrong direction.
Anything else?
Is it going to be where we just need to indicate an amount that the department has to cut? And
Well, what I'm saying is, I mean, the board's got to make some sort of a decision here and say, this is where we're at, this is what's going to cut. Everybody do your due diligence and come back with those numbers. But right now, it's kind of a dog and pony show. Nobody's really doing anything, nobody's really cutting, nobody's holding anybody's feet to the fire, and we're not really getting anything done. So we've kind of wasted about an hour and 48 minutes of doing what?
Well, didn't Linda kind of agree to cut the 57,000? And
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah, I mean,
but what I'm saying is even after that, right now, where we're at, you got human services is 6.5% over roughly about. You've got public health that was, depending on what gets cut, between 22 and 28% above, 12% environmental services above. I guess my question is, how much? You know, Linda said, well, I can cut this, okay, but now where is she at with that? Did we agree to 5%? Did we agree at 9%? Are we at 3%, 7%? She cut some, but where else, you know? We need to have a hard number. What's that number? If it's 6%, okay, everybody, you're cutting 6%, come back, and we're done. Otherwise, it's like, okay, come in, okay, you cut 2. Let's set up another day to waste more time to tell us if you can cut another 1%. You know, I mean, we're just kind of seems like we're doing this by braille. What's the number and what do you need to be at, period? Brass tacks, what is it? And we're done. But we haven't come up with that.
is the board indicating that you're going to have a zero levy increase?
Well, that's
Are
where
you going to
we
have?
haven't voted on
That'd be
it.
ideal.
We gotta
We have to
know
set
where
a
it is now.
preliminary one, and right now the preliminary, if we use the fund balance for the last pay period, is 5.9%. So
So
do
first, we gotta
wanna
vote
make
if
our-
we're gonna use our fund balance to offset that. That's vote number one. Once we have that determined, you have 5%. How much of that 5% are we looking to cut? All of it? Half of it? We need those decisions before we can really go much further, or else we're just kind of wasting everybody's time. Because how much do you have to cut? Maybe you don't have to cut anything. Maybe we may say, hey, we're just gonna leave it at 5%. You don't? Well, okay, now we're wasting your time coming in because you don't have to do anything. You know, I mean, it's just kind of, we're putting the cart before the horse.
I guess look for things in your budget that you think might be kind of stretching, something along that line, maybe questionable that it is increasing, maybe we don't need to increase.
I mean, from what the budgets I got in here, we've tried to maintain for the last how many years the same fees or the same without going on an increase. The only thing we've really seen a lot is just basically the wage increase. But as far as the rest of the expenditures over there, we've tried holding our line pretty tight. I know planning and zoning, I think the only thing we were looking at as far as any kind of an increase, which took most of what we were increasing, is just a change of I do need not an additional, but I need to trade vehicles sitting here. I've got a 2000 and a 206 that I'm afraid to take out of county. That's about what my increase in planning and zoning is.
What are they, the vehicles, trucks?
One's the Explorer and the other one's a
Okay.
Tahoe. Both of them came out of the highway department.
Yeah, okay.
All right, we're running 20 minutes behind. So I would say, Rick, find something or look at it or whatever, we'll obviously be back.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Sheila, Brian, thanks for your patience.
You need this?
Mark, Travis, we'll do it shortly. All right. Say before we start, I got one spot, you can cut $47,000.
Okay.
I talked to, actually, we were wheeling and dealing on a tractor and found out Case New Holland has a deal, and you might be aware of it, that Case New Holland will rent a government agency a tractor for about $1 an hour for 2 hours for road ditch mowing.
Up to 250 hours per year, and that might be going away. They don't know yet.
Yep, but as of right now, it's still on.
As of right now, it's up in the air, is what I've been told.
It's up to what?
It's unknown at this point. I just got off the phone with Case an hour ago, less than an hour ago.
So you were looking into that as well?
So, yep.
Okay, good.
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure, because
Yep,
that
the
program
program-
is still going, and if it is, we need to jump on that.
Yep,
That's
I've been
a
told
big
the
deal.
program ended for John Deere and for 2016. They're not doing anything yet until they get that answer from Case IH, and at this point,
Sure.
they're hoping to know in the next month.
Yeah, so keep that in the back of your head, because that would be something to jump on if that
Yep.
continues.
Yeah, otherwise, it sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, yeah. Which, and I understand why they're doing it as advertising for them and stuff, but it's like, wow, that's pretty cool if you can do that. And I know Olmsted County was doing that. We were actually looking at a tractor that they had coming off of their program, and that's how we kind of figuring that out. But yeah, so anyway.
What was it, $1 an hour, 2,000 hours?
Up to $250, up to 250 hours. After 250 hours, and you swap it out and get a new tractor.
Oh, okay.
Any repairs, type maintenance stuff on that equipment will be done by the county.
Mhm.
They
So
don't
if
cover.
you hit something, you gotta fix it.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. You damage it, you fix
Mhm.
it.
But, yeah. So anyway, at least I'm glad you're aware of it, so.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's available for next year. At this point, I don't know, I want to cut out the levy and then have it not be available. But we would know before the levy's finalized in December.
Right, yep.
Or should
Yeah,
know
we're just
anyway.
setting the preliminary ones,
Yep,
December ones.
Yeah. Thanks for looking into that, Brian.
yep. Yeah, so we went back and looked at cuts, and, I looked at where levy's been this year versus last year versus all the way back to 2010, you know, and our actual proposed levy this year is 80,000 less than what it was in 2010.
You went
Oh,
down 80,000.
80,000, yeah, or 78,000. So, you know, overall, we're staying steady, you know, year after year, which means that we're covering our increases in material prices and increases in wages elsewhere. For 2016, our proposed levy increase is $20,851. So that's showing 0.826%. In actuality, we have a lot of cuts to get to that point. We are cutting, essentially, we're picking up $89,000 worth of salary increases from the extra pay period plus COLAs and step increases. $207,000 worth of engineering cuts through fees we used to recoup either from when we have a FEMA project, we can get reimbursed our salaries from FEMA or state aid accounts with those projects. We don't have money in those accounts to keep paying for some of those costs. So we're picking up $207,000 there, and then we have that $196,000 for the wheelage tax that was talked about by the board in the past, about setting that money aside. That was not set aside in the previous levy. So we're setting that aside now, and we're putting it down, you know, into a new account for County Road 249, but whether it's 249 or the highway building, whichever way, depending on how funding goes, that money should be designated towards something. So if you take into account those three items, that's essentially $500,000. So to get to that $20,000 increase, we have $480,000 worth of reductions elsewhere in the budget. If I was going to reduce anything anymore, what I would recommend doing is reduce our under the equipment and maintenance in the shop. It's the 304 items. Gasoline and oil, you know, fuel prices are down. We can reduce that budget from 26,000 down to 24,000, and the diesel fuel from 150,000 down to 130,000. That'll be a $22,000 worth of savings. That'll get a net increase of, or a slight decrease from 2015 to 16 in the budget. Those items, though, are stuff that we don't have any control over. If fuel price goes up, you know, it's going to take what it's going to take as far as fuel usage. So we're just, you know, do we keep the cost where it's at and project that the fuel is going to ultimately go back up throughout next year at some point? Yes, it might be down this winter, but they're actually projecting a fuel shortage once they get into middle to late next year due to cuts overseas with fuel production. So, and then if you look at historically, that sheet won't buy you anymore. Historically, if you look at our gas and oil, it has been higher, and sheet. One more, two more. Yep. Okay, so gasoline and oil, 2011 we used 26,000, 2008 we used 28,000, 2013 30,000, 2014 28,000. 2015 so far we're at 10,003. So this year we're down, so you know, I'm saying if we reduce it down to 24,000, it's projecting that the fuel cost is going to stay down. But if you look at 2014 and prior numbers, we're in that $28,000 to $30,000 range. So there's a chance we'll end up going over that 24,000. On the diesel side, in 2011 we were 134,000, 2012 138,000, 2013 161,000, in 2014 160,000. 2015 we're at 54,000 so far. So you know, 2016 budget we were budgeting 150,000, which is, you know, in the ballpark of where it's been from 2014 to back to 2011. If we go down to 130,000, you know, it's getting down into the 2010 and 11 fuel cost ranges, which, you know, we might be at that point with gas, but it might be higher. We just don't know. So, you know, looking that far out, that's difficult on my end to predict.
Hey, real quick, speaking of fuel, where do we get our fuel from?
Diesel, we buy that in bulk, and we keep that at our shops. That's where we try to use all our diesel from instead of buying it from the gas stations. Over in Houston, we do fuel up at those gas stations there just because we don't have a fuel tank over at our Houston shop. Gas, most of our gas we buy from Quick Trip.
That's what I was getting.
And we get a discount of 3 cents per gallon, I believe. Two or three.
Three
Or,
cents,
yeah,
no,
sorry.
No, 3 cents,
For-
3 cents a gallon. And then they're possibly offering,
Yeah, we've just talked to
More.
Quick Trip here last week.
yeah.
We might be able to get that number to get bumped up to a higher discount based on our volume of sales and, you know, what we're doing. Getting a different card, different program for them, we might be able to get that up another percentage or two.
But I think it calculated out, it's about $500 to $800.
Say that again, it was what?
I think when I calculated it out, it was about $500 to $800
Worth of savings.
of savings, yeah. So-
Additional savings.
Additional savings.
Do you know
If
what
they
do we
bump it up.
do for all of the county cars? We have Quick Trip
They all
cards
have
that they're all on?
cards, yeah, Quick Trip or
Or the state card.
the Wex card,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Quick Trip
Voyager.
Yeah,
actually
we-
has a
They all-
percentage discount.
They all get discounts.
Yeah, we have a Quick Trip card along with a state fleet card. So if there's not a Quick Trip available, you know, if you're north of the cities, west of the cities, or no Quick Trip around, you can gas up, and there's a discount with that as well. But it's not as good as the Quick Trip discount, which is why we usually gas up a Quick Trip if we can.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah, we'll be checking more into that when they kind of like to have us fuel our diesel here too, but I'm not certain if that's the best solution.
and, you know, the other thing that we could do as well, you know, if we don't want to drop the diesel or gas, is to reduce the equipment parts line item by 20,000. That's another item that 2014 we spent 318,000, 2013 285, 2012 we were at 250,000. You know, our equipment is old, but it hasn't got worse in the last couple of years. If anything, it might be slightly better conditioning equipment than what we were 2 years ago, but they were really bad at that time. But part costs keep going up, so you know, 320,000 last year, 318,000 last year. You know, do we want to reduce 2016's budget to 280? You know, $40,000 less than what it was in 2014. 2015, we're on a pace at 186,000, but we haven't done the fall inspections and all the repairs needed before plowing in the winter. So usually that number jumps up at the end of the year some. So where we end up in 2015, I don't know yet. You know, so you know, besides for that, then you start getting into cuts that really impact what we do for regular maintenance. You know, if you start cutting back on what you spend for money on bridge repairs or road repairs and long-term preventive items to keep the cost down 5 years down the road, you know, we don't really want to cut those if we don't have to.
So Sheila, this blue highway fund, that 2.5 million, what was that for? That's what your fund balance is, or what is that your,
Was that
do
fair?
you have that one?
Yeah, that one.
Okay. The
Okay.
changes, the two,
Yep, that'll be the one that has the changes, yeah.
so,
That doesn't have the
That doesn't
levy
reflect
in.
the tax levy.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, what is that number? What are we looking at there?
That shows the amount of
we were just,
expenditures, which you would have to net against the levy that they're approved.
So that
at.
number's expenses, is what that number
That's
is?
It's,
what-
it's
You
the,
have
it's
the
the
revenues
net
over-
revenues and expenditures without the tax levy added in.
so that's what we're asking for.
That's what I'm getting at. What is that number?
Yep,
Okay.
yep, that's essentially the local levy for 2016. For 2015 and 14, it has the local levy incorporated into that number,
So that-
which
Okay,
is why
then
that number's
there
a lot
again,
higher
If you
in
look at the
16.
summary sheet,
Yep.
it has that 2544, that's what they're needing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that
And then it
matches
shows
up
their
on-
2015 levy, and that's where the 20,851 increase comes in.
Yep. Now, where, and I know you two have done this numerous times, and my memory's bad, so bear with me. For the highway building, we've got that money set aside, right? What's that coming out of? Where's that? I'm just as we're going through budget, just to make sure that we're not cutting
Yeah,
our nose to better face here.
Yeah, we
Anyway.
have that money that's set aside in fund balance. Depending on how you shift that money, you can, if you pull that money fully with what we have in fund balance, you can essentially pay for roughly a $5 million, $5.5 million, whatever it was, highway shop. We'll leave nothing behind toward future projects.
Right.
Otherwise, you can have that money shifted a little bit differently where, we're going to need to have money on County Road 249 down the road. The bridge projects, we're doing 2 bridges this year. We did a bridge on 249 last year. The bridges on 249 are in decent shape. The nearest, or the next bridge to be replaced on 249 is probably going to be, decades out. So the next big project in 249 is going to be seal coating, which, I figured 21,000 a mile, maybe 22,000 a mile for 10 miles it's paved.
Well, there's 13.3 total, so.
I think it's 10 or 9 miles paved. So we're going to need to have, roughly $200,000 to seal coat 249, probably in the next 5 years. And then, 10 years out, we're going to probably need to put some type of asphalt lift over it, an overlay of some type. Depending on what we do, that might be a $2 million project, it might be a $4 million project. So, depending on what's available and how we handle that. And that's what I'm saying, we want to set the wheelage tax aside if we can, instead of keeping it into, just the net highway department fund. If we can start designating that money toward 249 in the future, in 10 years, they have $2 million, that essentially gets close to some type of minor paving job. And then, what's there now could be used toward the highway shop project, so we don't need to go into debt or at least into too much debt on the building project.
So what did we have set aside for the highway shop as of right now?
I'd have to pull my files out from back of the office, but it was.
Officially, I think we've only got the 600,000 officially.
Right.
But the assigned fund balance from the report, you have that, Carol, it was 5 million.
Right, they have
5.8.
5.793 million, which is assigned to road and bridge, but not assigned to any specific future project.
So that is.
Of that, 1.26 is reserved for the 50% of the levy. So really, they have $4.5 million that can be said that it's for the highway building, or they can say it's for the 249 project, or, but that's the amount for $4,531,857.
So where did that 5.79 million, why all of a sudden do we have that much sitting, or where did that all, how did we accumulate that?
Well,
It's been accumulating for
it's been accumulating
years,
since
it's not
about
just.
2007.
Yeah, well, there was some at that point, just not
Right.
to this extent. A lot of it is with the flood stuff, you shift your projects, you're not doing the normal maintenance projects, you're doing flood repair projects, you're not spending your normal levy. Plus, when you're doing projects that you can recoup your staff time, your wages back from FEMA, from FHWA, you can start recouping money so you're not spending kind of the local levy. That in 2015 now, we have our last FEMA project is finishing up. Hopefully it's going to be done tomorrow. So then we don't have any more FEMA projects on the county side. We don't have any more on the township side. So that the reasoning why that account's been going up, that should be done. And some of the stuff as well, we didn't think it was going to go up as high as what it has. Some of the stuff is that there's been some stuff that FEMA maybe denied initially, you fight through it and you ultimately get the funding at the end. So you start budgeting, it's not expecting FEMA funding, and then in the end you do get it. Or some state aid disaster, state bonding, or federal highway emergency relief funds. So ultimately, some of it's doubled up there because we budgeted as if we weren't going to get the money, and we ultimately were able to recoup it. So I wouldn't anticipate that going up anymore. Both Sheila and I hope it doesn't. If it does, that means that there's something that's
like
happening within the budget. But
And like I said in the past, with multiple FEMA beds going back to back, trying to budget 18 months ahead, and not knowing that you're gonna have that FEMA event hit, it got very confusing. And so,
and we had the 7, 8, 10, and 13 FEMA events,
Right.
4 different events. So you're not done with the one event before the next one's.
and I would have to say too, County Road 23 was a good $500,000 that we recouped on that. So, there was $500,000 right there that they initially denied that we spent about 12, 15 months getting.
So over the next 10 years, ballpark, I won't hold you to the numbers, ballparking, 249, what do we project in the next 10 years that's going to cost for, like you're talking seal coat and asphalt? I mean, worst case scenario, are we talking?
The tough part is I don't know what's going to happen on the asphalt price, because that's the main cost is going to be asphalt.
Using today's figures.
Using today's number, it'll be roughly $3 million.
And that would include like the seal coating and stuff, or just the asphalt part?
Yeah, well, both. Doing one seal coating project, doing a paving project, and that's figuring a full depth mill and overlay, which we may be able to get by with a partial mill and
Right.
an overlay for, maybe we can get that number down to $2 million. And then the shouldering work that goes along with that. If asphalt prices keep jumping up, like what they have historically, or if asphalt prices keep going up and concrete, where you really don't have a choice but to stay with the asphalt, that number might be $5 million.
So-
it's really tough to predict.
So projecting like now, obviously not knowing the future, as of right now, 3 to 4 million on the safe side for right now.
On the
right?
safe side, yeah.
So then, where do we? I'm just trying to think of so we don't get caught short. If we put that, we should have 2 million of that from that 198 for that wheelage tax, right?
Yep.
So it would just be the other million down the road, but who knows where we're gonna get, right? Okay.
Mhm.
And we have that. I know we talked before that that's not necessarily in its own designation, but I mean, do we want
If you're using the
assign
wheelage,
that?
if
to that?
you're using the wheelage tax, that is actually a restriction by statute.
Yep, statute requires that it goes
So-
to highway purposes. You don't need to designate a specific project it goes to, so you can't take it and incorporate it into the county levy.
Right.
If you did like the sales tax, that goes towards highway purposes and designate specific projects. So currently for 2015, the wheels tax essentially got incorporated into our county highway budget, and then there's some levy cuts. Ultimately is why, it kind of got incorporated into the levy or
Well, I
into our
think the
budget
board
in a lot of
actually
ways.
adopted it so they could reduce the levy. But-
Right, but I mean,
Yes.
do we want to?
And it
you're
is,
right.
if you look on here now, at the end of 2014, we did start designating it. So it is, the wheelage tax is actually separate and not included in that 4.5 million.
Right.
That wheelage tax amount, and we'll continue to do that.
Yep. Do we need to do something with it to designate it for that 249 project? I hate to, all of a sudden it's sitting there and then it's like, oh, well, we
I don't think
use
so.
that 198
I don't
for
think
this,
so.
and then you keep
Yeah.
robbing from Peter to pay Paul.
can we, I mean,
Isn't
we
that-
can unofficially do it, but I don't think they let you
Well,
do it anymore.
I mean, like the board adopted the wheelage tax to do road and bridge projects. I don't know that you can specifically say, but if we maintain a restriction based on the statute for the wheelage tax, and it's the board's intention to use this for 249, it is restricted for 249.
Okay. I just want to make sure we don't sometime down the road say, oh, we need to buy this, let's use that money, and then
I
you
agree.
short
I think
yourself
we
on the
need to keep
249
track of
bill.
it. But I think based on the way.
You were able to get some grants for the 249 bridge projects, and that's a possibility again too, isn't it?
Not
No?
on the paving. No, on the bridges, what it is the state legislature a lot of times does bridge bonding. Sometimes it'd be 20,000, sometimes it's 75,000 if they have some earmarks in it for some big bridges. Usually, there's some flexibility for MnDOT state aid of maybe $10 million that they can distribute to different counties to help supplement funding on bridge projects. That is only for bridge projects, and they try to get more money toward the county road bridges because there is no state aid account that we can fall back on. That does not exist on the road side. So unfortunately, the roads, we are going to be on our own.
So
Turn back.
249 isn't something we could ever get back to be a
State road.
CASA?
No. No.
I mean, because really the amount of money that we got for that was unrealistic in that we could maintain that forever.
Yep.
But in
Yeah.
comparison to
Yeah,
other counties, we have one CASA road versus.
We are lower than most counties on the number of county roads. Most have a lot more county roads than what we do. So we're fortunate that way. A county road, once it becomes county road, it can never become a CASA. A turn back from the state, it automatically goes to a county road, it doesn't turn back to a CASA. So as the state keeps trying to turn back state highways to counties, it's going to make counties in worse and worse conditions. Thankfully, on MnDOT's plan, they do not have any state highways in Houston County that they want to turn back.
44?
We're talking about 43 in Fillmore County, but that ultimately got removed from MnDOT's plans, but that's
We only have
just
three.
across the board.
Sneaky state.
What, the
We only
state?
have three in our county.
Unfunded mandates.
I mean, I always thought at one point they might, from 76 from Houston to Callaway, or Houston Heights, and they might, that had been talked about back years and years ago, but I haven't heard that for probably 15 years.
Any more on highway?
Basically, your levy went up a 0.82%. That's,
Yep, and that does account for
Yeah.
salaries and everything.
Right, about 42,000.
I won't recommend doing all of them.
sounds good.
You guys did a good job.
Should we adjust our budget at all for any of these three items? They said, really, you're going to be out of our control, but do we adjust our
For the
budget?
gas and stuff you were talking
For the
about?
gas, diesel, or equipment parts?
I almost,
I would
you don't
rec-
know, but diesel always, that's a slow drop, really a slow drop. I don't know what to make of that. Gas seems to be plummeting.
Yeah, they're
For a
predicting.
while,
for
then
what-
it goes
yeah.
back up.
They're
Yeah.
predicting the gas is going to get under $2 $2 a
Yeah.
gallon this winter, but they're also predicting a shortage of petroleum products due to the Middle East oil situations. There's cuts that are already going into effect now because of the supplies. So much reserves are so high that they want to get the reserves down. So
Yeah.
that's going to shoot the price back up. So we just don't know how far.
So this is your best guess as to what fuel supply is?
When we did our budget, it's our best guess where it's going to be, and I'd like to keep it there, but if other ones think it's going to stay down, we can lower the budget.
I think I'd leave it alone for now. You have a very
It has been.
small increase anyway, 0.8%.
Sounds good. Thank you. That's it, right?
Good. Yep. I don't think there's any more questions. Yes. You're next.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We still are morning. Not much left, though.
So actually, I asked, I have tests included in here because there were two projects that were, really budgeted for. Which didn't necessarily have to do with the regular maintenance or operations. And the first was the security
For the historic courthouse, it is line object 6603, and it was $30,000 budget for security system for the upgrade for the historic courthouse. And the second budget, thank you, Carol, for that, is on the Justice Center, another $30,000 for EOC.
25.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, 25,000, pardon me, for the EOC. Can't blame me for trying. No, 25,000 for the EOC equipment.
For which equipment?
For the recording equipment, the sound system, the video equipment, all of that for the EOC room in the Justice Center. The reason for that is that room is used a lot, and it's just right now kind of patched together with things that we have in there. And we really do need at some point to bring it into the 21st century, if you will. And also, that is our room we use for if we have meetings where we have ADA request for accessibility. We need
I
to be
know
able to
Andy's
record
commented quite a
those.
bit on the sound system down there. It wasn't really
Oh, he just,
yeah, it wasn't very good to begin with.
he
They
just
didn't
pulls
do it
things
to begin
together
with.
and.
Or they didn't.
They didn't put any sound system in when they did a cut in the.
I know we had talked, Carol and I had spoken about the security system for this building. The issue with the security system for this building is, one, it doesn't feed over into the law enforcement center, and it really would be nice if it did, for security reasons, also for law enforcement's response, so they know what they might be walking into. But secondly, when we do have to rely on the cameras, we can't see anything other than vague images. I mean, the cameras are very poor. You can tell somebody's moving in the parking lot, but you can't really
See who it
You
is.
can't identify it when we have events, so so Carol and I had talked about potentially taking it out of this year's fund balance.
Well, there are, like a couple options. This year, we have the MCIT insurance refund set aside for capital improvements. And some of it will be used for the HVAC update.
That is coming out of there. It's not, because that was
So there
not a
would be
budgeted
some
item.
remaining there. Next year's MCIT refund has also been set aside, so we could actually net this and take these $50,000 items off of the amount that's in that specific project's line item that offsets the revenue. Those are two options for reducing the 50,000.
Rather than levying for it.
Yes.
Rather than levying for it.
And not to complicate things, but just as a matter of information that I will be bringing forward next week to the board meeting, I'll be asking for $22,000 as well for a new AC unit. Doesn't have anything to do with the upgrades that we have. We have a unit that's gone down. We could repair it for 10 with no, it's a 1979 unit with no assurance that some other component of it is going to break. But we would scrap it for parts to use on the twin unit that sits next to it.
And that would come out of the capital improvement, the MCIT refund?
That would be your decision.
Or fund
to do that.
balance.
So those are the one-time, if you will, costs that come up that we do not
What are they
budget for.
talking energy efficiency on that switch, do you know?
Pardon me?
The energy efficiency from the 76 one to the 2015 one? I mean, we're going to see some differences there too, correct?
We should see differences even on what we have done here with some of the upgrades going to the digital system from the old pneumatic that didn't seem to talk to each other. And over time, the way we have tried to balance our usage from winter to summer, we've gained efficiencies over the years, considerable. There for a while, it was at it right after we put the new boilers in. There was, I believe, also with shutting down the heat system in the summer, because remember, a lot of it was a
Yep.
system designed to run both simultaneously, but shutting that furnace down in the winter and the AC down in the furnace down in the summer and the AC part down in the winter, and only running the dual systems in the spring and fall, along with the new boilers, I believe last time I looked was yielding us about a $25,000 savings per year. It was considerable. So we're cognizant of that and keep trying.
Except the rates keep going up.
But
for
the rates keep going up,
electrical
so
rates.
I can't guarantee, usage may go down, rates though and costs continue to go up.
So that's why Tess was here, and you will need to
Basically,
make a
the
decision on that.
20,000 and that 30,000 could come out of our capital improvement budget instead of levying for it, basically. I think that'd be a wiser,
I
one-time
think so,
purchase.
yeah.
So Carol, this sheet that you gave us is 2015 levy and then the 50%?
Yes,
Okay.
of the fund balance.
Yep, and it's 5,484,456, right?
Right.
Now,
And then if you look at this fund balance sheet,
okay,
the items that are not designated for other purposes are the highlighted items.
hold on. Which sheet are we looking at now? That one?
We don't have five.
Yeah, this one, right?
The audited fund
Okay.
balances.
So,
So-
anything that says it's not designated, or that, I mean, that it is
Right.
designated?
Well, the assigned road and bridge and human services, because they're statutorily required, any fund balance they have, they don't have unassigned fund balance anymore. It's
Mhm.
always assigned to them, but the amount down at the bottom is the amount that isn't specifically for another purpose. So really, it's their unassigned fund balance.
So summarize this for me. How much of that 5,448,456 is accounted for?
All of it.
So we have no money
I
above the 50%?
mean, no, we have, if you look at these amounts on this sheet
Yep,
and subtract these amounts, we have a significant amount of fund balance that's really not assigned to anything else.
so I'm taking this number
Mhm.
here
Right.
and subtracting it from the 5,448,000, correct?
Okay, hang on, just let me just add to this spreadsheet for you, because, yeah.
I just want to know how much money of that additional levy is not accounted for that we can use, because you got an issue here with an AC unit that we very well might be able to use that money for and some other things, but
Mhm. And
what is that number?
And I'm not going to include the debt service money at all, because
No,
we
can't.
cannot use that for anything,
Nope.
even though there's
Nope.
only 50%.
Just what money do we have available right now to cut a check for whatever we want? That's what I want to know.
Oops.
Carol, do you need a few minutes where you're not being looked at to figure this out?
Okay. You guys can keep
You want us to turn around?
talking.
Well, I think we kind of decided as far as Tessa's that those two major one-time expenses should not be levied for.
Yeah, and I don't,
No.
and that's the
They
question.
should
is-
come out of either fund balance or MCIT,
Yeah.
capital improvements, one of the two.
Right.
Right.
So basically, that reduces her budget. I mean, her levy amount that she's asking
Yeah, because you don't have to account for those.
for.
Right.
And that's basically what we're doing at this point.
Right, so that's what that's,
So we're
so
basically
we
done.
we could move on to sheriff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I meant.
And-
That's what I was trying to say. We can move on to the sheriff and see where we can cut his budget.
And just
In
as
half,
a
you're being
reminder,
generous. Just kidding. He didn't hear you.
and just as a reminder, you know, in years prior to 2014, when we were talking about 2009 and 10, the improvement lines for this building were significantly larger than what they are right now. And the conversations that took place was, they were larger for those one-time events that we had. But there was a determination made by the board not to have them in the line and that they would be dealt with as needed outside those line item budgets.
Right.
So it's not that things have changed that much, that we're asking for huge unforeseen amounts. It's just the way we're budgeting differently for them.
Okay.
$6,706,564.
Say that again, Carol.
$6,706,564.
$6,706,000.
564.
Now, how did we come up with
That's
$1.3 million more than the 50%? That's,
Because we're only using the unassigned? We're using the unassigned fund balance? The 50% is of the 2015 levy. That has nothing to do with that.
okay, this number right here, okay, $10 million is what we have total in our general fund right
No,
now.
that's our 2015 levy. The sheet that I just gave you says that's our 2015
Oh, yeah,
levy.
yeah. Okay, I mean the 50% though. You have to
Okay.
have 50% of what we have in our.
That's
deal.
half of the 2015 levy.
Okay,
We
so
don't,
we don't-
we
this-
don't reserve 50% of our fund balance. We reserve 50%
Of the levy.
of the levy.
Right.
So that we have that until we get our tax settlement.
So what do we have right now in the general fund? Total, right now in the general fund? Is
Are
that
you talking-
16 million, that's this number here, correct? That we just
Right,
had
the
up.
general
total
revenue
fund
fund
balance.
has 1 point, I can print this.
This total fund is at 16,606,000, right?
Right.
Okay.
And of that amount,
Of that amount,
6 million, 6,706,564,000.
That's what I'm looking for.
564 is available.
Okay, so now,
Except that you do want to save money for the highway,
okay, so this, part
Technically-
of this, hang on, part of this 6 million is accounting for the highway building in there, correct?
that's their total amount that they have available to designate, or, yes.
That
I mean,
we
if you decided, no, we're gonna bond for our entire building,
Mhm.
we could spend $4,531,858 of highway department unassigned fund balance.
So this is just highways unassigned? Or
No.
is this countywide?
This is countywide, but I
Okay,
just
so-
gave you highways as an example.
Okay.
Human Services has 917,000.
Yep. Yep.
General fund has 1.257 million.
So am I correct in looking at this saying technically we have $6.7 million
Right.
in our account?
Mhm.
If we had a checking account, right?
Right.
Okay. So this AC unit we can take out of here,
Mhm.
okay? So now the other question is, why, if we have 6.7 million, why are we even contemplating going to the taxpayers for more money when we clearly have more than enough money to cover all of our expenses for this year?
We do, if you're not going to take into consideration other items that you,
Well, the only big
I
item we're
considered
talking
in
about
the
is the
future.
highway building at
Mhm.
4.5 million, right?
The
So
highway
that
building.
leaves $2.2 million left in there. Our levy's at 1,035,000 or whatever it was, right?
increase.
So even if you took $1 million off of that, you're still at 5.7,
Mhm.
okay? So you could still fund the entire highway building at this amount, which I don't believe it'll end up being that amount, but let's just say it was, and you still would have another $1 million left over. Right.
Right. You then would, yeah. Mhm.
So
You could.
technically, you could wipe out the entire levy this year and
Using all your
still,
fund balance, and then, then next year, then you'd have to deal with the issue of, oh, we have an increase.
You have to raise taxes.
well, technically not, because you would still, if you took $1 million off of this, that's 5.7 million that you'd still have in there, right? And let's just say that highway building was at 4.5 million, okay? You would still have $1.2 million above and beyond that going into next year.
Carol, what is the total amount of our total budget for the county? Is that on here somewhere?
The total amount that the levy's going up?
No.
Or
How
what?
much does it cost to run our county for a year?
The total expenditure
Well,
budget, or the net, that would be the levy requests, the budget requests.
Okay.
That's the 12 million,
That's,
300.
all of our expenditures for all departments, and subtracting any grants they receive, any fees they charge, any.
So
Other
figure
stuff.
12 million.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you have a $12 million budget and you need to make $12 million in expenses, and you only have that little bit of reserve to the side, I don't want to run it out.
But you don't, you have 50% over what you're already getting. We're collecting right now, if this was at zero, you're still collecting $12 million a year for that budget. So you're collecting everything that you need in there. So next year, you would collect that 12 million all over again. So it would just be what you need for that increase going into next year. So if it would be zeroed out this year, going into next year, if they said, hey, we're going to increase the levy $1 million, you still have enough money to cover next year's expenses and have $700,000 left over going into the third year. That's what I'm saying is it just kind of behooves me, if I use that word, that for the last how many years we've been going to the taxpayers and increasing taxes. Taxes doubled in the last 10 years, yet we have $607 million sitting aside. Now, we can put all that money into a highway building, and you can say, let's put it all into the highway building and leave nothing. But the kicker is that, and I've used analogy many times before, that's the same thing as driving a Ferrari to the food shelf. You're asking for money over here when you clearly had enough money to begin with. So what I'm saying is you have 50% more than what you're already asking the taxpayers to give us of that $12 million, just sitting there doing nothing. I've got an issue with why do we keep raising taxes year after year after year when we clearly have the money sitting there? Because otherwise you can sit on $7 million, but then it's really hard to go to the taxpayer and say, I'm sorry, we need more money. Well, don't you have $7 million? Well, we need more. I've got an issue with that, and I always have. So how can we do this? And like I said, you could literally zero out the taxes and still have $1.7 million left over. And that's if you used all of that for the highway department building, you would still have $1.7 million left over.
1.174 million. If we took the
If you took $1 million right here.
If you took the 6.7 or 6,706,564, took off the
$1 million.
4.5 million for the highway department.
Yeah.
We'd end up with 2,206,564. If we took off the $1,031,978 they're asking, that would leave 1,174,586.
Right. So you'd have enough money to cover the levy increase this year and another levy increase of the same magnitude the following year, and still be at zero with your 50%.
Okay. Right, and then, there are projects that are being looked at for the courthouse.
Yeah, we need a roof yet.
But
If you levy for that in another year.
We've been
I guess,
putting it
that would be the choice that the board would make. Like I said, we have had significantly less fund balance than what we currently have in many, many years.
Right.
But a lot of it had to do with the highway shops.
No.
Oh, okay. So it didn't have to do with the road projects that we got reimbursed or anything?
Well, the amount of money that they have, yes.
Okay.
I would hope it just came from FEMA.
That's the impression I have. That's
which
how
we
it
borrowed
works,
from
yeah.
the taxpayers to cover those expenses, which now we're getting that money back. So the question is, why doesn't it go back in their pocket? Thanks for letting us borrow your money. Here it is back. But we're going to transfer that to a highway building. Okay, fine, I understand. Linear transition of the money. But I guess that's my question, is all of a sudden we come into all this money and it's like, oh, now we got this money, let's just spend it all. Well, hold on a second. You know, when do we give the taxpayers a little bit of a reprieve? Taxes have doubled in the last 10 years. They continue to go up. We're looking at right now, if nothing was done, another 9% increase to the levy. That's the question, is how can you continue to keep asking for more money and more money and more money, and then just kind of tucking it away and nesting it over here? I mean, at what point do you say, okay, we could do a 0% this year. Next year we still have $1 million, so if you needed to put on a roof for 200 and some thousand, you know, or 300,000, it'd be, you still have $700,000 left over for any other project that you're doing. The next year, if you have a 3% increase, fine, but you gave the taxpayers at least a reprieve for a year.
There is the $731,000 MCIT insurance refund, or, you know.
So technically that can go towards the.
It can go to wherever you want,
Yeah.
but just if there were.
I think the intent was to try to keep it for the jail,
Mhm.
the old jail, the historic jail.
So that is included in, you know, in that remaining 1,174,731.
And I guess that's where, you know, that's the other hard
And
decision.
that's the decision that you are going to deal with prior to the end of the year, what will happen with the building?
Right, and that's the other hard decision somebody's got to, the board, we've got to do here. What are we doing with the jail? What direction are we going? Because otherwise you sit on this MCIT money, well, maybe we'll use it, maybe we won't. And then it sits there year after year, nobody wants to use it because maybe we need it for the jail. Well, we need to make a decision. If you're going to raise the jail and get rid of it, now we can use that 700 and some thousand for other things. If you're going to keep it,
That's a
then we
matter
know
for-
we're going to have.
I think that's a matter for another day.
We got to talk about it right now, we're
Yeah.
in building maintenance, and
Yeah.
where
I'm not-
are we going? You know?
I guess
Just-
you know,
just
my point, I'm
30
not ready to dispense with a lot of fund balance, I guess, until we get a few things out of the way or set aside, such as the roof on this place, our highway shop, and whatever else might be, you know, laying in the weeds out there. So let's get through the budgeting process and decide, I think at that point.
Well, we should set aside a day and just go through some of these as a board, what we're going to do.
Yep,
Mhm.
I agree.
But not, today's not the day.
No.
Any other questions for me? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Carol.
Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, we're here, right? You're gonna get rid of the jail?
Did you want it?
That'd be fine with me.
They're talking about the historic jail, not
Oh.
not the, you know,
You're moving back.
no,
from
not the
old-
operational jail.
Oh, okay, well, that's different then.
We hear you're busier than ever over there, huh? Now, your budget did go up quite a bit, didn't it? But, and it wasn't all just LEGT, was it? Or,
No, I guess declined quite a bit. I guess my calculation showed it went up just a little over 6%. Is that what you showed?
That was for the sheriff's office and the jail.
Yeah, and then the jail
So,
At
less.
1.22.
What kind of an increase were you thinking that we had?
I didn't figure out the percentage share.
Well, $80,000 increase looks like a big increase, I guess, you
Yeah,
know.
that's what I was
Just-
seeing is 80,000.
Salaries
Yeah.
at 58.
But it
Salaries and
is-
benefits, 50, probably 60.
It is a big budget, so.
Sheriff Eglett, whenever you move your papers over your mic,
Oh, okay.
it goes out on the recording.
So the 80,000, it went up. I wasn't figuring percentage, I was just looking at the number.
Okay.
Is mainly the LEGT?
No, it's mainly wages and
Yeah.
benefits
We're looking at
package.
about 60,000, I think, in,
Yeah.
wage increase, wage and benefits.
About 60, it's more like about 67, 68,000 in those benefits. So when you deduct that from the 88, then it's, but even taking that into account, my calculations are, even with the wages increase, we're still at about roughly a 6.1% increase. I'm talking just the sheriff's office side now.
And the jail was 1.9.
Yes.
About 68.5, I guess, on wage and benefit.
68.5, you said,
Yeah.
Commissioner?
Yeah.
We don't do miscellaneous expenses either, do we?
I just have to give it another name.
Okay.
Because it,
Which one are you talking about?
what am I thinking that would be? We just have to give it a different name.
What's the line item number?
6379.
All miscellaneous charges. Well, actually, 6379, we don't have anything proposed.
6805.
Okay.
And that's this one. This one's actually the sheriff.
Okay.
$500.
You did add $500 to it though, so
Mhm.
you must have a specific
Well,
thing that's going to be.
not a
visible.
specific thing. It's to cover unexpected small expenses that we didn't anticipate. I guess I didn't think $500 was an outrageous amount.
No,
to
it's
ask
just
for.
that we eliminated that out of budgets. We didn't want just miscellaneous.
Okay, that's.
So that's why it's
That's
still
new
there.
information to me, that I wasn't aware of that.
Right.
Okay.
It'll just have to be put in somewhere else, or, you know.
Okay.
Budget amendment.
Do you know?
Run yet, or?
No, the one for the vehicle. What's vehicle registration? It's a new cost?
We talked about that at our last meeting. That's a new line item that we put in to cover, previously, they were taking the vehicle, cost of vehicle registration for all the squad cars out of the new purchase vehicles line item. And that's, to me, that's a.
It's
not
the
a-
amount for their license plates.
Yes. That's what registration
And it
is.
has to be renewed every year, but it was still being taken out of the
Oh,
capital
one time.
expense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Vehicle replacement is down by 10,000?
Yes. I figured, Commissioners, we have roughly 39,000 in new expenses with the LETG maintenance, the portion of a payment that we have to make for the next 4 years anyways. So that's roughly 39,000, so we've cut other areas to make up as much of that as we can. For example, the 6288, we cut that was $9,500, we cut that completely out. And then also for computer maintenance, we reduced that by $3,000 because we can apply that line item towards our maintenance for LETGL overall.
How's that LEGT going? Moving along pretty good?
It's coming along. There's some bugs to work out yet, but overall it's working.
Did you order the equipment? Andy ordered?
According to Andy.
Andy ordered the equipment?
Well, you ordered and then I think you canceled.
We canceled.
Yeah.
What happened was the day
Yeah.
after we got the approval, we
The
got
grant
word that
process.
the grant might be coming through in October now, so.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So we figured, well, we're gonna wait a little bit longer. We've already waited this long.
Mhm.
Like I said, it's a 50% match.
By the end of October, we should know for sure.
That's good.
And then if that falls through, then we'll have to, of course, move forward. But
Yeah.
but yeah, we've got an opportunity to possibly cover 50%.
That'd be good.
What are you hearing about body cams? Is that going to be something that's going to be required by the counties to provide?
I don't see that in the immediate future. It's maybe down the road. And that's an expense, of course, that we'll have to address when and if that time comes. But I would think if they're going to force it, then the state would have to
Everybody
step in
talks about it.
and help with the cost of that.
What's Sheriff's contingency fund used for?
That is right now primarily used to pay our task force membership.
Oh, okay.
Looks like you did a good job with your budget to me.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. We did, I feel anyways, that we went through and trimmed everything that we could. I don't wish to get involved in the game of keeping excess money there in anticipation of trimming the budget. That's not the way I prefer to play, quite honestly. Essentially what I'm saying we need, and maybe this will bite me someday, but for right now, what I say we need is what I truly believe we need.
Under the jail portion of it, you have like projects, 10,000, sentence to serve, 60,000, but nothing's been spent. Is that because it hasn't been spent yet? Or what kind of projects do you have, like 6812?
6812, that actually is money that we're proposing for a different voice recording system that we, to be honest, quite haven't been to the board yet with that. That'll be coming soon.
Okay,
We're
so that's
working
why
on-
you're budgeting for it for next year?
Yes, in anticipation of it. If that wouldn't get approved or something, then we obviously wouldn't need that money.
Is it voice recording? What is that
Well, it's probably a topic for a board proposal, but in just a nutshell version is the voice recording system that we have now.
Oh, this is in-house, in the sheriff's office?
Yes,
Okay.
it records all of our radio traffic, all of
Yeah.
our 911 calls,
Okay.
all of our phone lines and
Mhm.
stuff.
Okay. I just didn't know what it was.
And the sentence to serve, if you actually look at the 2014 year-to-date, 3 payments got made in 2014. One of them should have been paid in 2015, so the 2 years will balance out.
Okay.
There will be one more payment made.
So sentencing to serve, is that, we don't pay the inmates.
It's
Or is
for
it
Craig Welch's
the
salary.
yeah, project lead guy, okay. Okay. Can we make those guys pay us? Pay Craig?
They get credit for,
Community service or
Off,
something?
yeah, off of their time served.
Yeah,
They do a lot of projects
they
too
do.
around the
They really
county.
do.
That's for sure. All right.
so the medical fees, the inmates that come in, like from a different county.
Yep.
They pay their medical fees, or we
Yes.
pay them.
Yes, we pay them and then get reimbursed from the county once that money's been taken, or once we bill them out. We do need to change a little bit of that, because sometimes that money has actually been getting put back into the general fund through a sheriff's fee, but that needs to be changed to go back into the account that it came out of.
Mhm.
Apparently previously, that's the way they did it.
Oh. So your population is down a little bit.
It is this week.
Mhm.
I'm not quite sure what the reason is for the significant drop, but
Yeah.
Well, that's really not a bad thing, is it?
we're still maintaining fairly well with Winona County as far as daily average from
Mhm.
them guys.
Yeah.
So, and that's what's helped us considerably on if you'll see on the jail budget,
The revenue.
we're looking at probably around $120,000 in revenue brought in this year. Last year, just for comparison, they brought in 71,000 for the whole year to date.
Mhm.
Well, the contract to take prisoners from certain places wasn't in place for the whole year, was it?
Right now, we're still not housing any inmates from Wisconsin because we just simply don't have the room.
But
Between-
you are getting requests too?
No, that system still hasn't been totally ironed out because La Crosse didn't want to do the transporting. They wanted us to transport for them.
Okay, yeah.
So that's been just basically put on hold because, quite frankly, we can't take them anyways. I mean, we could this week, but for most of the whole year, we've been running daily average of 27, 28. And of course, we have to leave some beds available for custodial rests that we make on a weekly basis.
Right,
If we go over 30 for an extended period of time, we'd have to hire more staff,
right.
make
I
changes,
knew that.
the programs and whatnot.
And so we would have to be consistently over
An average or
30.
something?
Is it like
Yes,
30 was the kind of?
we can hold like 33 or 34 for just a certain number of days.
Okay.
I don't have,
That's like 27 days or something like that, isn't it? mean,
I don't
thought
think
it was-
it's that long.
Isn't it even that long? I thought it was something about you can do it for less, if it's less than a month. If it's over a month, you gotta
Yeah.
have 2 employees.
Yeah, it goes
hired.
by the daily average.
Yep, yep.
Then you have to have the program
Program,
coordinator.
yeah.
Mhm.
person. Because actually, the dispatchers, didn't we hire up to the level what they really said we needed for over 30 with the ones that we added last year?
Uh, Yes and no, I guess would be the
Well,
correct answer.
you know the amount they say, but is it realistic for that number of employees to take care of that many?
Yeah, it's not
It's
really.
not realistic.
Dispatchers are pretty busy.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, in a perfect world, that those two positions should be split.
Well, they are in most counties, aren't they?
Yes. But unfortunately, that would require probably 2 to 3 more positions.
All in all, pretty good year?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's been a learning year, obviously, but
The fair wasn't too much trouble, I don't think. I don't
No.
think there was much trouble with that.
no, we got through the fair and Heitzen, so
And Eitzen, yeah, everybody survived
I'm
Eitzen.
pretty happy about that.
Well, there's never any problems with Dayton.
Only when you show up.
How much did you say you wanted to cut from his budget? 6%?
Well, I thought Teresa said half. I thought that was being generous.
Okay.
Oh, I missed that part. I'll have to go back through the minutes to look for that.
She said it really quiet. I don't think it got recorded.
So what's the next step?
Today.
We'll figure out where we need to be and let you know.
He's after you.
Okay.
You know, I was noticing in the paper that it seems like we don't have as many drug cases as, and complaints is that down?
No, actually, it's up.
Is it up?
I think so, yeah.
Okay,
Some of it hasn't made the newspaper yet. We've had some recent ones,
okay.
stuff.
Oh, here it's
You're
hoping
comparing to
it's
that, to when, Commissioner?
Pardon?
When are you comparing that to?
See, I just kind of keep track of, not really keep track, I just look at the cases each week, and it just
Mhm.
seems like there hasn't been that many.
You're looking at the dispositions?
I'm looking at the newspaper, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, he's,
Public record?
Public record, yeah.
narcotics investigator's actually doing a very good job this year. He's serving a lot of search warrants.
Oh, that's good. Are you seeing an increase in meth and heroin?
We haven't seen an increase in that so much. I mean, that's not to mean it's not out there, but finding it, we haven't seen a huge increase.
La Crosse is having a lot of troubles. Is any of that spilling over this way at all?
Not yet, but I'm a little concerned about that because I think they're going to start turning the heat up over there, and I'm afraid that'll.
They'll look for a quieter place.
Yes.
Yeah, across the river.
So I am concerned about that.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Is there a second? And discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are adjourned.